Yeah, luck.
And special live coverage of the biggest professional wrestling event of the year.
If you've ever wanted to know where the best place to watch WrestleMania is, right here. I've got a live show there, Insight Live, on the Thursday night.
Pro wrestling at its best.
Insight with Chris Van Vliet. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
See you there.
Powered by Integrated Media.
The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass. It's the Game Network Traffic Report from the Schroeder's Towing Traffic Center. Broken down and need a tow or even free signage for your lot? Dial pound 250 and use keyword tow truck today.
All right, one last look at your traffic and weather for your ride in on this Monday morning. Only one accident to report, that at Fort Jackson Boulevard and Divine Street today. Pretty nice outside, high of 78 with a mix of clouds. Tomorrow 82, then back up to 85 on Wednesday. Currently 51 here in downtown Columbia on the Game.
Text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on 107.5, the Game app.
Oh, 9 o'clock on your Monday morning. Welcome in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Feltry along with you here. The final Monday of the month of March. And boy, it's been a month full of madness. We'll certainly get to that as well as what happened for the baseball team over the weekend. But Jack, how are we doing on this fine Monday morning?
You know, man, it's really felt like the longest month ever. I mean, I've been on the road probably half the time this month, and I'm ready for April to get here, and yeah, it really. I mean, these 30 days, man. I mean, we got one more tomorrow.
31.
But man, this really has felt like the longest month ever.
How much do you think you've driven in total this month? Because you did your 2,000 plus round trip down to Florida and Nashville and everything.
I do have to send my mileage into shoe. I've probably driven, if I had to guess, probably about 2,700 miles this month. So.
That's half an oil change.
It is. I just got an oil change like 2 weeks ago, and I think I'm probably going to need to go get another one here soon. So, oh, man, that's lovely. But, you know, doing good, man, doing good. Just got back from Athens last night after a glorious weekend out there.
Ain't do anything fun?
Not really. I chilled. I watched the Netflix documentary on Who Killed the Expos. So that was pretty cool.
Okay.
About the Montreal Expos. So that was cool to watch. Otherwise, I went to the Blind Pig. That was good.
That's your go-to now, isn't it?
Yeah, it was okay. You know, I didn't think it was anything great this time, but you know, it was fine. But besides from the baseball, didn't really do a whole lot. But I did get to watch that Braves walk-off grand slam the other day. That was cool.
That was pretty neat. Yeah, just when you think they're out of it, they're right back in. The cardiac Braves from a few years ago may be making their return.
Yeah.
Didn't have too many of those games last year.
No, but as we do transition into the show here, I did catch a little bit of the women's game on Saturday, and boy, when I saw the score for the first time after I think I had just gotten back from like baseball or something. I can't remember what it was, but I got back and then saw the score, and I was like, whoa, okay, well, I don't know if I was expecting that, but we can transition into it now.
It was a dominant performance for sure. We'll hit that right after our Sandstorm pick-me-up.
Time to get hyped. Here's your 9 a.m. Sandstorm, sponsored by George Sink Injury Lawyers. Just call all nines.
It is time for your 9 a.m. Sandstorm Pick Me Up, brought to you by South Carolina's largest injury law firm, George Sink Injured Lawyers. If you've been hurt in the car or at work, call George Sink now at 803-ALL-9s. Yes, indeed, the South Carolina women pick up another win over the weekend, this time in the Sweet 16, as they take down Oklahoma 94-68. And I think we talked about it on Friday going into the game. The line was 17 and a half for a team that had beaten South Carolina in their one prior matchup in the regular season on the road in Norman. And I don't think we doubted Carolina's ability to win this game, but I think we even looked at that line and said, man, 17 and a half, that's a lot. They showed you why that line was 17 and a half on Saturday. Once again, they get out to a double-digit lead, 10-0 run there over the first about 2.5 minutes for Oklahoma finally gets themselves on the board, and then it was just a rout from there. Oklahoma never made it close, really, at any point during the game.
No, they didn't, and I think the biggest difference in this game, number one, I think, was just the rebounding battle. South Carolina actually out-rebounded Oklahoma 42-41, and that may not seem like a huge gap, but it really is because you cut down the rebounds from the last matchup down significantly. I mean, Oklahoma killed South Carolina in the rebounding department.
By like 15.
Yeah, by like 15. The last time these two met, I mean, Oklahoma had 50-plus rebounds the last time they met out in Norman. So that was a huge difference right there. Shooting 50% from the field compared to Oklahoma shooting 39%, that's also a big difference. And then here's the key difference, which I didn't even realize till now. 10 of 14 from three-point range. That's 71.4% from beyond the arc. Oklahoma made 6 threes, but they shot 30% from deep. So in every way you slice it, South Carolina was just better in this game.
Well, and this was the game that Tania Latson had her best performance individually as the Gamecock, 28 points on Saturday, including 4 of 4 from three-point range. And again, she's had her ups and downs this season. Her and Joyce Edwards combined had a rough game when they played Oklahoma the first time, but she was absolutely lights out. Raven Johnson had a really good game as well with 18 points, and not the best game from Joyce Edwards, but when Tania Latson and Raven Johnson can combine for, 46 points, that's probably going to get the job done, and it did. And one of the biggest differences you mentioned when it came to the rebounding was Medina Okot, and this is something we talked about on Friday with Chris Wellbaum, that Okot didn't have a great game when they played Oklahoma the first time. Again, she was losing the rebounding battle to Reagan Mears and Sarah Williams, but that was before she went on her tear of double-doubles, right? She really started coming to her own this season after that Oklahoma game, so we saw a better version of Medina Okot this time around, 9 points, grabbed 12 boards in this one.
Yeah, she was good. She played 24 minutes, which was a little bit of a bump over the last time. She didn't really play a ton against the Sooners, but yeah, I mean, you summed it up. I mean, Tania Latson was really good. Raven Johnson was really good as well. I mean, just a really good performance overall, and it's not surprising. Look, the line was definitely big. 17.5 for a team that had beaten South Carolina earlier in the year. That definitely was a little bit big, and probably at the time probably could have been a few points closer. But honestly, I don't think it really matters because you see what happens, and South Carolina is just playing at a different level right now, and what will that mean moving forward? Well, you get TCU tonight. That'll be a 9 p.m. tip. You're a 13.5-point favorite. So
great, late tip.
Yeah, so 2-touchdown favorite. Although, 9 p.m. is a lot better and a lot more doable compared to let's have the game start at 10:30. You know what I mean? Now, it could be a little bit later depending on what happens with the Texas-Michigan game, which is also on ESPN at 7 o'clock. So I guess you're kind of waiting on that game to wrap up first. But, yeah, I think South Carolina should be in good shape here. It seems like we are heading in the direction where all 4 number 1 seeds could be playing for the national championship. You got UConn and UCLA have already punched their tickets, and then obviously Texas and South Carolina are the other 2 remaining 1 seeds still standing. So I think South Carolina's got a pretty good chance to beat TCU. I know they played each other probably, I want to say 2 years ago out in Fort Worth.
Last season, but it was early last season.
Yeah, like
a year and a half ago.
24-25 season, but it was during the 24 part of that.
Yeah, so it seems like a long time ago.
Yeah, so a season and a half ago.
Obviously, it's been a dominant start to the tournament for Carolina so far, but Dawn Staley did talk about the other day what she feels like they can still do better.
I like for us to, be a little bit better at, putting the ball in the paint and scoring. We're used to having a dominant post that, can alleviate some of the pressures that are happening especially in the half court. I think we could be more patient offensively, like for better looks. Like, if the paint is crowded, no need to put that ball, in one of our bigs' hands for everybody to collapse on them. If we let the offense run a little bit more, they could probably get easier looks where there's maybe not 2 and 3 sets of hands digging at the ball. It's just one. And you can play a little bit better, efficient basketball when you're just dealing with one person.
There is something to point out from Saturday. They did get beat in paint points 36-34, but that obviously didn't end up making that big of a difference. It's pretty crazy when you look at these first couple of games they played in the tournament so far, and the differences statistically in the 3 games. Carolina's average margin of victory is 45 points. They are allowing opponents to shoot only 31% from the field, and they've gotten off to a combined 38-0 runs in each game, where they've gotten out to double-digit leads each time before each opponent is able to get on the board. And you add those statistics together, I don't know anybody that can beat them if they keep doing that.
No, and TCU should be a good challenge for South Carolina tonight. They're 32-5 on the year. They've played really well this year, but ESPN gives South Carolina an 88.9% chance, almost a 90% chance to win this game tonight. So I don't think any of us are going to be stunned when we walk in here tomorrow and South Carolina wins by like 20-plus points. It's not a knock on TCU. It's just how good South Carolina is. So if South Carolina is playing the way they did against Oklahoma, like where they're making all these threes, they're shooting, over 50% from the field and just really playing good basketball altogether, you definitely want to clean up the points in the paint and the turnovers a little bit. But, overall, if you're playing the way you have been, you're going to win this game no problem and advance to the Final Four.
And this is a TCU team that shoots and makes a high volume of threes. And anytime you go up against a team like that, if they have a really hot night, that's always going to be something that's going to worry you. Olivia Miles, one of the better players in women's college basketball, very efficient from that point guard role, not only from making shots, but also a very high assist rate as well. So they move the ball around really good. They got Marta Suarez, who's also a high-level scorer. She had 33 points, including 4 of 7 from 3 in that game against Virginia the other day that got them in to the Elite Eight. But we always talk about these kind of things for anybody that Carolina plays. If Carolina plays their best game, it doesn't matter what the other team does. Carolina is usually the better team. Now, when we get to UConn this weekend, assuming they both win, assuming Carolina wins, then we'll have a different conversation about that matchup. But for tonight, I view it once again as, hey, if Carolina plays their best game, they don't shoot themselves in the foot, they shouldn't have a problem.
Yeah, they really shouldn't. You worry about the UConn game later on. That'll be a later talking point, assuming South Carolina gets there. I'm sure they'll be an underdog heading into that game. But, yeah, really shouldn't have much issue tonight. We'll see. That's just how good they've been playing. It's not a knock on TCU again, but South Carolina is just playing at a different level right now. And the only team that could beat South Carolina right now tonight in this matchup is itself. If it's not going to shoot well, if it's going to struggle, then you're getting yourself into a little bit of a fist fight with this TCU team that can also shoot rather well. But, yeah, South Carolina, I think, will be fine tonight. We'll see.
Yeah, again, that game tipping off tonight at 9 o'clock and pregame coverage starting here on 107.5 game with Brad Muller starting at 8:30. The game before that is Michigan and Texas. Again, Texas, the number 1 seed, potentially the opportunity to punch their ticket to the Final Four, where UConn and UCLA are waiting after UConn took down Notre Dame and UCLA took down Duke on Sunday in their respectively deck games. Duke actually beat LSU on a buzzer beater the other day to eliminate Kim Mulkey. So no more Kim Mulkey in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, that was a crazy shot there. I can't believe that ball rolled in. That's a tough break for LSU.
It rolled around the rim about 12 times, it felt like.
It kind of reminded me of that shot that Kawhi Leonard hit against the 76ers in the playoffs when he was with the Raptors for that one year, where that ball just kept rolling, and kind of just bouncing all over the place. Kind of like that.
Yeah.
The women's basketball version of it, I guess.
and so that play happened on Friday. And I thought, maybe that'll be the buzzer beater of the weekend that we'll be talking about coming in on Monday.
Nope.
It was not, because something else happened yesterday, which we will get into on the other side. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Feltry along with you here on your Monday on the Game.
All my sports. The Game Network. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 96.9 The Game in Charleston. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
We have a new way for you to call the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Just dial pound 250, and when prompted, punch in the keywords, the game. And that's it. Again, pound 250 with the keywords, the game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at herndonchevy.com.
Tyler Head here for our friends over at Twin Peaks. Baseball is back, and you can catch every pitch all season long and every showdown on the massive TVs with 29-degree drafts and loaded nachos. First pitch starts over at Twin Peaks, Columbia. They've got opening week watch parties with $15 domestic buckets plus $5 house margaritas all day. You can bring in the crew and root for your team in comfort. From the first home run to extra innings, Twin Peaks, Columbia has every MLB game covered. Pair it with a cheeseburger or chicken tenders for their lunch specials. And no matter what the sport is, whether it is baseball, basketball, hockey, when football comes back in the fall, you know Twin Peaks is the ultimate destination to take in all of that great action with all the TVs, all the great food, and, of course, those 29-degree draft beers as well. All this and more with our friends over at Twin Peaks, Columbia.
Darius Rucker is coming home to Columbia. The country music superstar and longtime Gamecock supporter will be joined by Lauren Elena to headline the Garnet and Black Spring Fest on Saturday, April 11th at Colonial Life Arena. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Come out early for the free pre-concert block party, featuring a meet and greet with football student athletes, food, games for kids, and more. For more information on the Garnet and Black Spring Fest, visit GamecocksOnline.com.
A personal question. Have you ever wiped with a piece of dry, single-ply toilet paper and wondered, is this as good as it gets? Well, it's not. It's a whole lot better thanks to the wet, extra-large cleaning power of Dude Wipes. They comfortably clean up whatever toilet paper leaves behind. You can make the trade of the season, switch from toilet paper, and start experiencing the confident clean of Dude Wipes. Available at Amazon and at major retailers nationwide. Dude Wipes, best clean, pants down. 2 words, prostate exam. Relax. Screening starts with a simple finger-free blood test. Around 1 in 8 men in the United States will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime. Prostate cancer can have over a 99% 5-year relative survival rate when caught at a localized or regional stage. If you're 40 or over and have a prostate, visit relaxitsabloodtest.com to see if a PSA blood test is right for you. Talk to your doctor about screening and the next steps. Sponsored by Novartis.
The South Carolina Forestry Commission is the only state agency charged with protecting the state's nearly 13 million acres of forest land from wildfire.
And we stay busy, fighting an average of 1,300 wildfires that burn nearly 8,000 acres a year. Suppressing wildfires doesn't happen without hundreds of specially trained wildland firefighters, some on bulldozers, some on foot, some in the air, all working together under an incident command system coordinated by around-the-clock responders. Wildfires happen every day in South Carolina, more than 3 a day on average. The public never hears about 99% of them, but we're always ready to respond. From the escaped debris burns to the multi-thousand-acre blazes, we're there. From the mountains to the swamps, we're there. From the sandhills to the barrier islands, we're there. We're there protecting life, property, and forest land. We are the South Carolina Forestry Commission.
South Carolina Forest, they'll grow on you.
Sponsored by the South Carolina Forestry Commission, South Carolina Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Average Amy's. Our coffee has caffeine and our muffins are cooked.
You're not average. Your marketing results shouldn't be either. Cumulus Digital outperforms industry benchmarks by over 25%. Visit cumulusdigital.com to start outperforming today.
Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free.
The Extra Point.
And the kick
is good. With Tyler Head and Jack Feltry from Gamecock Central on the Game Network, the 107.5 The Game app, and at the Game TV radio on YouTube.
To go. Got to cut and run through the ball. And who better than this guy? Get it into Boozer. Back for Sarr. Ahead. Boozer. That ball deflected and stolen by Mullins. Caravan, 2 seconds. Mullins tosses it up. Oh! It's good. We're point 3. UConn goes in front.
There it was last night. Elite Eight. UConn, Duke. Crazy comeback for the Huskies, down 19 at one point late in the first half, down 15 at halftime. They make the comeback. They force the turnover when the waning seconds there, and then Mullins makes the three-pointer to send them back to the Final Four for the third time in 4 years. Of course, they won back-to-back national championships 2 prior seasons ago, in one of the moments we're going to remember forever, Jack.
Man, that was actually nuts yesterday. I didn't get a chance to watch the game live because I was on the road back from Athens, but I got a text from my brother, and then I watched the clip, and I'm just starstruck at that play. I mean,
but you're going to remember where you were when you saw that.
Oh yeah. That's like when do you ever see that happen? When do you ever see like a successful turnover in the final seconds and then a shot like that all taking place at the same time? Of course, there's the Chris Jenkins shot against North Carolina in the national championship. That's like the pinnacle of moments. You got Christian Laettner on that shot, on that heave across the court. I mean, there's a lot of there's some moments, but like so many different things took place in that 10-second span at the end of the game, and it was just actually nuts. It's so much that we could break down from that moment.
Well, it's a moment as well of Duke almost not understanding the moment, right? Where they didn't put UConn in situations to force a foul. They were trying to move the ball, and Caden Boozer launches the pass, just kind of goes straight up in the air, and then it's at midcourt. It's free range. UConn gets it, makes the shot, and it's over.
So, okay, let's start with that because we go in the order of events here. So, I believe the ball first goes to Cameron Boozer out in the bottom right corner of the court there, and then he passes it to Caden. And I think in that moment, Caden's got one guy up top to the right on the other side of the court because you're trying to advance the ball cross half court. Now, the other thing to keep in mind here is that Duke does have a timeout this entire time. So,
Yep.
I think with 2 guys on him in that moment on Caden, I think John Shire or whoever, somebody probably should have called a timeout in that moment just to avoid any possibility of turning the ball over there because you want to make sure you have the right play. Now, I think the counter side of that argument is, okay, well, it gives UConn, who's already trapping in that case, more time to figure out their defensive plan. True, but you want to make sure you don't make a mistake here. And so Caden definitely had 2 guys there. He had one up top to the right on the other side of the half court there, and then you had one at the bottom right. Now, he just tries to throw the ball over 2 guys standing in his way, and, of course, the ball gets tipped, deflected, and then we see how the sequence of events unfolds. It's a tough moment, but it's also a very – it felt like a moment that was certainly avoidable, and it's something that Duke just – they fumbled the game away. I mean, it's plain and simple as that. You're trying to do everything you can, I think, in that situation to just – not turn the ball over, and that's exactly what Duke did.
Yeah, and Duke, the defender, doesn't even get a hand up to contest the three-pointer that UConn made, so it was a completely clean look, like something you're hitting in practice constantly. Again, I think they measured it at 35 feet because he's standing on the edge of the logo, the 2 S's in March Madness, and just absolutely nails it. But it's one of those things that, like, and I know you didn't get to see it live, as you're watching it unfold, the chaos of generating the turnover, getting the ball back. When the ball leaves his hands, you're just like, oh, it's going in, right? So many things have happened up to this point. It can't not go in, and it did, and it created an all-time moment that we're going to remember forever.
Yeah, that was a crazy shot. It was as crazy as the turnover was. The shot was just as crazy, if not crazier. I mean, that's a great shot right there. And you got to remember in that moment, I mean, that guy, as I'm looking at the stats here, didn't hit a single three before that. He was 0 of 4 Mullins from three-point range before that.
UConn wasn't really great from three the entire game. They were 1 of 11 in the first half. They made 2 clutch threes within the final minute of that game. Caravan had the one that made it a 1-point game with 50 seconds to go, and then that one to win it. So something that they weren't effective at the entire game ended up helping them win in the final seconds.
The other factor I think that really made a big difference in this game, aside from what happened in the end there, and this kind of goes hand in hand with that mistake there by Boozer, the turnover differential in this game. UConn only turned the ball over 5 times. Duke turned it over 13 times. That's an 8 turnover difference there. I got to imagine that had a huge impact on the way this game turned out, because if you're only turning the ball over 5 times and then you're forcing double-digit turnovers on the other side, that really makes a big difference there. And again, Duke led by 19 in this game. It's not really a shocker, I guess, to see them blow a big lead, because they did it last year against Houston with a chance to go to the Final Four. But yeah, I mean, just a total collapse by this Duke team, a program that has not won a national championship since, 2015 now?
Yeah, and you mentioned those turnovers. It was an 8-1 difference in the second half alone. And, you look at the box score, UConn got 30 shots off from the field in the second half. Duke only got 19. Which, you look at it, and then that's a reason why UConn was able to put up 44 to Duke's 28. And this goes to, once again, for the second year in a row, late in the season, or deep in the tournament, UConn blowing a major lead. They had the 14-point lead over Houston last year.
You mean Duke, right?
Yeah, Duke. Sorry, Duke blowing the lead in either the Elite Eight or the Final Four. Had the 14-point lead over Houston last year. Blew that in the Final Four for Houston to go on to play for the national championship, and then led by 19-15 at half against UConn and blew that as well. And this, goes into having a team of young guys, one-and-done type of guys like Cam Boozer, that don't have the experience of being deep into tournaments like this, and it can make differences like that.
You're right. I think it certainly can. I think the experience factor definitely plays into it. But at this point, you're not freshmen. Like, you're 38 games into the season. You're not freshmen. So making these mistakes, it's just something so simple that probably could have been avoided. And give credit to UConn for just not fouling at the first sign of the ball touching Cameron Boozer's hands before it even got into Caden's. I mean, UConn easily could have just decided, you know what, we're going to foul here, down 1. We're going to just foul, and we'll go from there. But give a lot of credit to them for letting the play out and kind of staying back on defense, forcing Duke to try to get the ball cross court, because you have 10 seconds to get it cross court before getting a violation. So, and that's how much time was left in the game. I mean, all Duke had to do was kind of play keep away and kind of just get that ball, across half court, and the game's essentially over at that point. You go to the free throw line, you make your shots, you win the game. But yeah, I mean, it takes a little bit of luck. It takes a lot of luck for what happened in those final 10 seconds to play out. And UConn really got a nice break because of Duke's mistakes, and then obviously the great shot hit by Mullins there.
Yeah, I don't know about you. This has been a fun tournament so far. We still got 3 more games to go, and we'll get into the Final Four matchups a little bit later on in the show. But as much as we talk about lack of Cinderellas and stuff like that, we've had some crazy game enders, and that was obviously the best one so far.
Man, Cinderellas are great and all, but you're getting these great matchups that you would not get if you're having a Cinderella at this point, playing. At this point, you might get a blowout like what you saw with Tennessee just getting gobsmacked by Michigan yesterday. I mean, that was a terrible game yesterday for Tennessee. But then you look at this game, and it makes up for everything. So just a great game last night out there in D.C. That East region, man, I think it lived up to the hype of being really good with all those great teams, all those great coaches. And, yeah, just a really classic game last night that will definitely go down in the history books.
They'll head off to Indianapolis this weekend for the Final Four. We'll preview those matchups more as the week goes along. Not as fun of a weekend for Gamecock baseball. Jack was in attendance in Athens. We'll get into what happened there. Coming up next, it is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Feltry on your Monday on the Game.
If the Gamecocks hit a grand slam, you could win cash. It's the Crescent Construction Grand Slam giveaway.
If the Gamecocks don't hit a grand slam, the pot goes up $25 a game.
Just go to 1075thegame.com to register.
Wow, what a play. The Game Network. Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
I was feeling the same way. After 40, the body has less testosterone, and men lose their edge. That's why I take Nugenix Total T2.
That's the testosterone booster, right?
Yes, but Total T2 is their brand new formula that skyrockets nitric oxide levels in as little as 3 hours. Since I started taking it, I've been lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. My energy is way up, and it even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yep, just send a text.
Text HIM to 215-215 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the next generation testosterone booster. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text HIM to 215-215. That's HIM to 215-215.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Paid for by Adaptive Health.
Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game for AAA Heating and Air. Look, I know you're thinking about a lot of spring cleaning right now, but are you thinking about your generators? You need to be. Those things are vitally important when our power goes out. You want to make sure your generator is running great. At AAA Heating and Air, they're ready to help you. So call today or visit their website. Call AAAtoday.com and tell them Bill Gunner with 107.5 The Game sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Darius Rucker is coming home to Columbia. The country music superstar and longtime Gamecock supporter will be joined by Lauren Elena to headline the Garnet and Black Spring Fest on Saturday, April 11th at Colonial Life Arena. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Come out early for the free pre-concert block party, featuring a meet and greet with football student athletes, food, games for kids, and more. For more information on the Garnet and Black Spring Fest, visit GamecocksOnline.com.
If you have tax problems and want to end the frustration of dealing with the IRS, grab a pen and take down this number. Hi, I'm local attorney John Ecton with the Ecton Law Firm, located right here in the Midlands. Let us show you what it takes to solve your tax problems once and for all. The first step, which can be one of the hardest, is to take action. Do something. Call me, set an appointment, and meet with me in person. Your first visit is completely free and confidential, and I'll show you how to take control of the problem. So if you haven't filed your tax returns for years or are facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call me, John Ecton, at 803-771-9800. That's 803-771-9800. Or go to EctonLawFirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com. Learn what it takes to solve your tax problems for good. Take that first step to a better future. Call me, John Ecton.
When your money's on the line, are you okay with a basic free tax service? Get the confidence of TurboTax with free Fed and state filing on Intuit Credit Karma. Around 37% of filers qualify. Simple 1040s only. See details at turbotax.com/free.
Forestry Commission dispatch, what's your emergency?
I was burning some limbs and leaves in the yard. Got a call and went inside for just a minute. When I came back out, the wind blew my fire into the woods. And now it's really taken off. It just got away.
Copy. What's your county and address?
We're in Aiken County at 2355.
South Carolina averages more than 3 wildfires every day, and more than half the time they're caused by escaped debris burns. Not only does state law require you to notify the Forestry Commission before your outdoor debris burn, but you also have to take the proper precautions. Create a wide fire break free of flammable material around the pile that you're going to burn. Have water and tools handy to prevent the fire from spreading. Most important, never leave or turn your back on the fire for any reason, and put your fire completely out.
It just got away.
We are the South Carolina Forestry Commission.
South Carolina Forest. They'll grow on you.
Sponsored by the South Carolina Forestry Commission, South Carolina Broadcasters Association, and this station.
The Extra Point.
And the kick is good!
With Tyler Head and Jack Beltry from Gamecock Central. On the Game Network, the 107.5, the Game app, and the Game TV radio on YouTube.
all in all, offensively, we needed to swing the bats, and we certainly did that. We hit the ball really well today. We had some clutch hits, hit with 2 strikes a little bit better. And I thought Brandon kept us in the game. The biggest decision was when do we go to Alex, and tried to keep Brandon in there. He wanted the ball, tried to keep him in there as long as we could, but he ran into some trouble, and and then just at the end of the day, we needed to be better in the back half of the game on pretty much all sides of the ball. But I thought the guys competed hard today, and we just got to be able to put all 3 of them together at one time.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Points Hour, and Jack Belcher with you on your Monday here on the game. That was Monty Lee recapping the events of the weekend out in Athens as the Gamecocks fall in all 3 contests to Georgia, 2-5 on Friday, 1-3 on Saturday, and then 7-9 in Game 3 there on Sunday. And it was 3 very different types of games in the way that South Carolina lost over the weekend. You had, save for 1 inning, a solid pitching performance from South Carolina. The offense just couldn't do anything when it came to getting runners across the plate. Another strong outing by Ant Phillips on Saturday. No offense to speak of. And the offense is finally there, but the pitching maybe not quite what you needed. And then some fielding issues cost you yesterday as well.
Yeah, you kind of summed it up there. The simple way to put it is that the pitching was good for 2 games, and then the offense was good for 1 game. That's really the thing that stands out to me, and probably one of my biggest takeaways from the weekend is just that you could not get a game where both sides are doing their part, right? I mean, South Carolina scored 3 runs in the first 2 games of this weekend. Then they go out there yesterday, put together a nice Sunday performance. I don't know what it is about Sundays the last 2 weeks, but South Carolina, after struggling to hit the ball all weekend, seemingly figures it out for the final game of that series when you've already dropped the series. They had 7 runs yesterday on 13 hits. You had 5 different players finish with multiple hits. So it was a good performance from the offense yesterday. The problem is that the pitching just wasn't good, and it really cost you. Now, there is the big discussion, how much of yesterday's game is on the defensive mistakes, because you had a little bit of some miscues out in the outfield with Jake Randolph, which we'll get into. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the pitching was already on the, not really doing too well before that. So the signs were there that this pitching was not going to hold up, against this really good Georgia offense, which gives South Carolina a lot of credit. Holding this team to 8 runs and 10 hits through the first 2 games of the series is really, really good, and that gives you a chance to win a series, but you need to have offense to do that, and South Carolina just didn't.
Yeah, the moment yesterday, as you mentioned, Jake Randolph, who had hit a solo homer in the top of the 8th to tie the game at 7, ends up misplaying a line drive in the bottom of the 8th inning that allows the 8th run to score. Georgia would then add 1 more in the bottom of the 8th there to make it 9-7 with the ball that got past third base. But yeah, critical moment there in a situation. There were no outs at that point in time, but still that could have at least been an out. Held a runner there at third, and then who knows what happens after that. But yeah, Jake Randolph, who looked like a hero at the plate, obviously that moment in the field is going to be the one that everybody kind of circles coming away from that game.
Yeah, this game will humble you, man, real quick. And in a matter of minutes, he went from hero to feeling like zero. And it's a tough break because, that's a tough play to make. Most guys in the outfield probably make that play. Like, watching back, the camera angle wasn't the best, but it kind of looked like he had a chance at that ball. Even I asked Monty after the game, and he was like, yeah, I thought Jake had a chance to catch that ball. But here's the thing about Randolph. He was brought in here as a catcher. Now, he can play the outfield, but it's not really his primary position. So putting him out there in left field, look, I understand. You want to get his bat into the lineup. You wanted to get Will Craddock off his feet, so he's DHing yesterday. I totally understand that. But in those late innings there where you're trying to keep up and keep pace, especially after earlier in the game, there was a fly ball hit out to left field that would have been the final out of the 6th inning, I believe. But it ended up leading to a run because there was a ball that dropped in front of Randolph that I think hindsight's 20/20, but I think he probably could have caught the fly ball out there. But then this low sinking line drive, it was a tough play to make, but also he kind of just awkwardly just dove at the ball. He kind of fell to his knees trying to make the catch. So it just looked very unorthodox out there. And, I think moving forward, I think you need to have him be the everyday DH. His bat is too good to keep out of the lineup, but his defense is a liability, especially with Ethan Lozamo, who's not even, regarded as like the best outfielder, but he's covered a lot of ground this season for South Carolina out in left field and hasn't really made a ton of mistakes. So I think moving forward, you need to just find a way to figure out left field with somebody else playing out there, but keep Randolph's bat in the lineup as the everyday DH.
Well, the way these games played out over the weekend's kind of been the story of the season for Carolina baseball, both when Paul Maneri was the coach and now with Monty Lee, where it just kind of seems like you can't put it all together for an entire game, save for last Sunday when they did managed to beat Arkansas in game number 3. But if your pitching's there, your hitting's not. If your hitting's there, your pitching's not. And then if you do have maybe a combination good enough to get you a win, something in the field lets you down. Scobie's throw last Saturday would have ended the game against Arkansas, and then the situation with Randolph there on Sunday. So it's just a team that can't seem to put it all together for one game, let alone an entire weekend series. That now that we've gotten 3 series inning, you're 1-8 in conference play. It's just kind of what you are at this point, and I don't really expect a whole lot to change going forward.
I don't either. Here's the thing. The record's going to say this is a bad team, and there may be some truth to that. But I think overall, if this were a bad team, South Carolina wouldn't have, I think they have some solid pitchers on this team. I think they have solid players in general. It's just when some guys are doing well, others aren't. And you get a good pitching performance on Friday and Saturday from your bullpen. And Amp Phillips was really good as well, I think. But your offense didn't do anything. And then on Sunday, when your offense does come through, it's your pitching's not doing well, and your defense lets you down. Like, they just cannot seem to put it together. So, look, they've gotten off to a really bad start this year. They're 13-16 now, halfway through the season. But the one thing I will say, though, is they have looked a lot better under Monty ever since he took over last weekend. Besides that North Carolina game, which honestly, even at that point, they were in that game till the 7th inning when they gave up six runs in that 7th against UNC. They've been in all of these games. So I think that's encouraging, to say the least. It's just, again, they have to find a way to get some balance. All sides of the game need to contribute. It can't just be, the pitching's going to do really well, but the offense isn't going to score and the defense is going to suffer. It can't be any of that. It has to be a balancing act, and that's something Monty's going to have to figure out. He's going to have to try to get the most out of these guys. It's going to be tough. You're facing a Texas team this weekend that is, one of the best teams in the country, and then you get Mississippi State coming in here 2 weeks later. It's going to be tough to win these games, and you're only going to probably find yourself in a deeper hole. But like you said, I think you are what you are at this point, but I think there is some potential to not turn the season around. I think it's too late for that. But to get some wins here, maybe in games that you lost last year, I think it's possible, because the story last year was every time the offense came through, the pitching didn't do anything for you. The pitching always let you down last season. Now it's kind of the opposite. The pitching numbers are not great this year overall, but make no mistake, watching this team the last few weeks, the pitching has given you a chance in a lot of games, holding some really good teams to low run totals. So it's just the offense hasn't been able to do it for you this year. I mean, they're hitting .210 in conference play this season with 100 strikeouts. That's just not going to get the job done. So you really do need to figure that out offensively, but it is encouraging at the very least that the pitching was able to go out here and hold its own against one of the top offenses in the country.
Yeah, and Monty said as much on Saturday after, Amp Phillips' performance, where Carolina would only get 2 hits at the plate. He says all you can ask of your starting pitchers is to give you a chance, to keep you in the game, and that's what you've seen with Amp Phillips, with with Josh Gunther multiple times this season. Again, save for one inning, he actually had a solid outing on Friday night. The Grand Slam obviously did a lot of damage there, but you're getting good enough outings out of them. You just can't back it up with what you're doing at the plate. And I think that's where this team is, right? I think on paper, and we look at what these guys have done at their previous stops. You look at a guy like Craddock coming in as a freshman. This is a very talented team, but it's not translating on the field. There's a difference between being talented and being good. It's a talented team that are just not good because they're not able to put it all together.
Like last year's team, they had some talent, but I don't think they were a very good team. The pitching was terrible. The offense had some good games, but it was just a team that just was not that great. And I may sound a little hypocritical because I know most of those guys came from the 24 and 23 team and whatnot, but still, for whatever reason, it was not a good, team last year at all. Now this year, I do think they have some talent out there. That it's clear they brought in the guys that they thought were going to lead them to success this year, but it just hasn't happened. And I don't know if it's going to. You're 1-8 in conference play right now. You get 2 top 10 teams over 2 of the next 3 weeks, and you get a Missouri team that. Yeah, they're in the same spot as you, but you're going to Como next week. I mean, it's just there's no let-ups at any point now, and I don't even know if there's a winnable series moving forward. I mean, Alabama, who I thought might be a winnable series, they just swept Auburn.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's really tough right now.
Next action for them is tomorrow night is to take on Wofford right here on the game. Pregame coverage starting at 6:15 for a 6:30 first pitch. While it wasn't a great weekend for the South Carolina baseball team, we had quite a chaotic weekend in Major League Baseball as the season got rolling, including a pretty cool moment for the Braves on Saturday night. We'll get into that coming up next to wrap up the hour. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Beltry here on the game.
All my sports. The Game Network. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 96.9 The Game in Charleston. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Go to 1075thegame.com and check out our sweet deals, like $50 worth of great eats from Grill Marks for just $25 and a 6-month membership to the YMCA for half price. It's all at 1075thegame.com.
This is a Westwood One Sports Minute.
Sponsored by Robinhood. Learn more with Robinhood at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. 4 teams remain, and the road ends in Indianapolis. 2026 Final Four is locked in. We've got a massive heavyweight clash at the top. Arizona taking on Michigan in a battle of powerhouse 1 seeds. Meanwhile, the bracket's biggest remaining Cinderella, 3-seed Illinois, will play red-hot UConn. I'm Drake Toll.
Furnished by IntelliBrands.
Have you ever felt leg pain, restlessness, cramps, tingling, swelling, numbness, itchiness, or coldness? Then you need the new patented Legsercise Pro, the natural circulation booster that uses continuous automatic leg movement to soothe pain and promote healthy circulation the natural drug-free way.
Using Legsercise made walking painless again.
Legsercise Pro's patented walking simulator propulsion technology moves your feet back and forth along its concave track, creating constant movement and flex at both the knee and ankle joints. It's like having a physical therapist right in your own home.
I have much less swelling and no more tingling.
Call right now and order your very own Legsercise Pro, the new proven automatic leg mover that soothes pain and naturally promotes healthy circulation. Call 800-555-1212. That's 800-555-1212. 800-555-1212 now.
These statements and products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like a cybersecurity engineer at a publicly traded company.
We've been hacked! They're through our firewall!
How is that even possible?
They got my password.
Please don't tell me your password was password.
It's actually password 1.
This is a job for sponsored jobs. This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now. now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code GRAVY25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code GRAVY25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code GRAVY25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
The Extra Point with Tyler Head and Jack Veltri from Gamecock Central on the Game Network and the 107.5 The Game app.
Payoff pitch. Adam Smith hits it deep to right field. Back at it, and what a way to close. Walk-off grand slam in his Braves debut.
Welcome back in. Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Belcher wrapping up hour number 1 here on your Monday on the Game. That was a call on Fox Sports on Saturday night as Dominic Smith, as you heard in his Braves debut, hits a walk-off grand slam in the bottom of the 9th inning to elevate the Braves past the Royals 6-2 in game number 2 of their series. A game where the Atlanta had not really done anything at the plate of note up to that point. They were scoreless through 8 innings. They walk a couple runs in, bases are loaded, and Dominic Smith comes in and launches the grand slam to send the fans home happy. They do end up losing game number 3 that will win the series after winning the season opener on Friday, and a very cool moment for a lot of reasons for Dominic Smith.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, he's a guy that's bounced around with different
He's a journeyman.
teams. Yeah, like I remember him from being like a good prospect coming up with the Mets, and he just didn't really work out there. He's bounced around to teams. He was with the Yankees for like a little bit in the minors. Like he's hopped around, and hopefully he can find his footing here now at age 30. But yeah, definitely a nice moment for him, especially after everything he's been through over the last few weeks. I can't even imagine how tough that must have been. But yeah, cool moment for him. Got to watch that, and yeah, nice start to the year for the Braves against a Royals team that is expected to be pretty good this season.
Yeah, good start for them. Again, taking 2 out of 3 of the series there to start things off. And, when that hit happened on Saturday night, obviously a great moment. Everybody's celebrating, and nobody knew the extent of, kind of what else was going on in Dominic Smith's life, as his mom had passed away about 2 weeks ago in the midst of spring training. She lost her battle to cancer. So, Walt Weiss, talked about it being big for him. He talked about how much the Braves had been there for him and support and all that kind of stuff. And obviously the moment in and of itself is great. But when you add in that extra layer of what it meant emotionally and all that kind of stuff, it's something that's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, most definitely is.
So over the weekend, again, all of Major League Baseball got rolling after we had, 3 opening days we talked about last week. And, of course, this being the first season of ABS being used in season, it got a workout this weekend. A lot of challenges, and it looked like a lot of them were pretty successful for the teams. Umpires taking a lot of L's this weekend.
Yeah, there were a few instances that I think really stood out in particular. Obviously, number one, the big story of the weekend was what happened in the Red Sox game from Saturday, where C.B. Buckner, home plate umpire, had 6 pitches overturned by the automated balls and strike system, including an at-bat where Eugenio Suarez is at the plate and Buckner rings him up twice on I believe it was a 2-2 count, rings him up twice, and both times, both calls get overturned. And if you don't know much about these umpires, C.B. Buckner's probably one of the worst in the MLB. There's Angel Hernandez, there's Joe West, and then there's C.B. Buckner. He's not a very good umpire, and I think that's the thing we're going to see here with ABS is it's kind of like the pitch clock in a lot of ways, where it's something that MLB is the baseball is such a traditional sport, it's national pastime. Hadn't had many changes for most of its lifespan, but over the years we've started to see the willingness to adapt and make changes that are probably better for the sport. The pitch clock has obviously been a huge success in moving games along a lot quicker, but now we have ABS, where for once there's finally accountability. That's something that really has not been the case with umpires, because you got to keep in mind, there's no when an umpire has gotten a call wrong in the past, whether it's a blown strike 3 call, or a blown call on is a guy safe or out on a play at first base, things like that. There's no accountability because there's no post-game press conferences after to meet with the umpires. They get paid, they go along with their days, and that's that. Now we finally have some accountability to a point where a guy like Buckner, I mean, you could tell he was getting frustrated watching.
Oh, yeah. But like the 5th or 6th time, you could hear it in his voice.
Yeah.
And he has to announce that it's being challenged.
And I think we're going to start seeing, I don't know if it'll get to a point where like a guy like Buckner just quits, but I think we're going to get to a point here where, yeah, these umps are going to get, the bad umps that get calls wrong are going to get weeded out rather quickly, I think. And it's only one weekend. I mean, but it wasn't just that at the Reds game. Heck, there was a call, I think, in the Giants game against the Yankees the other day on Saturday. I think it was Saturday. Maybe it was Friday. I can't remember. It was one of those two games where Aaron Judge, who hit 2 homers this weekend, and that's why I'm trying to remember if it was Friday or Saturday, because he homered in both games. There was a call that was wrong on a strike, and it gets overturned. Next pitch, Judge goes deep. So the ABS is so good for those reasons, in that we're finally getting balls and strikes called correctly. When a guy messes up, you get the 2 challenges. As long as you have those challenges, you can continue to use them as long as you keep getting the calls right. So it's really nice to see this change made to the sport.
Well, and for the umpires, this isn't being done to publicly shame them. If anything, it's giving you an opportunity to make adjustments, right? And for a guy like CB Buckner, if you're making some calls that, a lot of the stuff was like the low end of the strike zone, okay, maybe you need to adjust things to start getting those calls right. If you don't, you're going to keep getting called out on this because, again, batters, catchers, pitchers all have good eyes for this, so they know what those calls should be. And, yeah, I think it's going to force these umpires to be better. And if you're a guy like Buckner and you don't improve and keep getting shamed by it and you think it's enough to walk away, that's on you, man.
Yeah, I mean, he has not been a good umpire for the longest time. And, look, hopefully they start getting these calls right and adapting and changing, because otherwise this system, man, it's going to change baseball moving forward.
Ideally, you'd like to get to the point where this isn't as prevalent as of a thing because the umpires are getting these calls right, but until then, it's there to use.
Yes.
Hour number 1 in the books, hour number 2 on the way. A new commitment for South Carolina. It's a unique one. We'll hit that next here in the game.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at herndonchevy.com.
Are you getting the most from your woods? If you're a forest landowner, chances are you need the technical assistance of a forestry professional. We'll come to your land, walk it with you, and make professional recommendations for maximizing the health, productivity, sustainability, and potential of your forest based on your vision. You may even have cut over, eroded, or otherwise open land. Our foresters can prescribe the most cost-effective tree planting plan for you, including the best species to plant and the most appropriate spacing. If you own 10 or more acres and don't already have a management plan for your land, call the South Carolina Forestry Commission. We'll give you free, yes, free professional advice about managing your forest land and optimizing it for your goals, whether it's wildlife enhancement, aesthetic beauty, recreation, timber, or all of the above. Visit our website at scfc.gov to learn more.
South Carolina Forest, they'll grow on you.
Sponsored by the South Carolina Forestry Commission, South Carolina Broadcasters Association, and this station.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing, and for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, Tell them, Mid-State Twins.
If you have a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
Do you have gold you don't need? Are you looking to get cash? At Traditions Fine Jewelers, it only takes a few minutes for them to check, but you'll be amazed at what cash it brings. Did you know if you had gold the size and weight of a quarter, you would generate $177 in 10 karat or $248 in 14 karat? Want to trade your gold? The same quarter gold would generate $303 in 10 karat or $425 in 14 karat. Traditions Fine Jewelers, Sunset Boulevard in Lexington, or at the Village at Sandhills. Always giving you more for your gold.
Hi, I'm attorney Michael Jeffcoat. Let's press pause for a second. No lawyer can guarantee the outcome of your injury case. Nobody, and I'm not going to either. But here's something I will guarantee. If you hire the Jeffcoat firm after a car wreck, we'll do right by you. And if you're not completely satisfied in the first 30 days, you'll owe us absolutely nothing, and we can part as friends right then. That's the Jeffcoat no-fee guarantee. Call 803-200-2000.
Responsible attorney Michael Jeffcoat, 1333 Main Street, Columbia.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because Rhino Shield is backed by a 25-year warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick. Put down that paintbrush and pick up your phone. Call Rhino Shield at 833-RHINO-99. Call now and receive 15% off the regular price. Or go to RhinoShieldCarolina.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
For your 15% off, call now, 833-RHINO-99. Or go to RhinoShieldCarolina.com.
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Your home for the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station.
Oh, yeah.
The Extra Point with Tyler Head.
And the kick is good.
Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network.
Welcome back in, hour number 2. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Feltry along with you here on your Monday on the Game. Of course, the weekend was very busy from a basketball and baseball standpoint. I don't know if we were expecting any football news, but we got some in the form of recruitment. Not somebody committing for the 27 class or 28 class. No, a new signee for the 2026 class that will be eligible to play coming up this fall in Nefjiwa. And he's somebody we talked about last week with this crazy story of him being a Nigerian-born Irish rugby player that is generating a lot of buzz in the college football landscape for this video that came out like 2 weeks ago of him going through some offensive line drills, and seemingly every school in the country is like, hey, come play for us.
Why not? I think it's a low-risk, high-rewards sort of thing, especially since, according to Wes Mitchell, who wrote an intel story last night, not to give away every detail because it's a premium story, but apparently South Carolina did not have to overpay to get him. So, low-risk, high-reward. You add him for this upcoming season. The thing about him, he's never played organized football before, so those clips that are going out about him, those are really the only clips you have of him doing anything football-related. But you look at the size, he's 6'8", he's about 300 pounds. Why not take a gamble on him and see what happens? And honestly, it may be a long-term play here because sure, you're bringing him in for this season where, yes, you have some injuries right now to your offensive line with Jakarius Peak out, Josiah Thompson's done for the year. Like, yes, you have some injuries right now on the offensive line. I don't think it's fair to expect Jiwa to go out here and just be an immediate impact player. Maybe he plays special teams. Maybe he's out there on PAT. I don't know if he'd play offensive line starting right away or anything. I don't think that is very likely at all. But give him the chance to develop and see what happens over the next 2 to 3 years. Yeah, he could become a heck of a football player because the thing about him is that there's no there's no film on him background-wise of, okay, here's what he's done in football.
Yeah.
Like, it's a clean slate, and you really, if you're Randy Clements and Jason Smith, you basically, I remember Paul Maneri always mentions it, like with, assembling a roster, you have this big piece of clay, and it's up to you on how you want to shape it. That's essentially kind of what it is here with Jiwa. He's, just a fresh guy out there, and you have the opportunity to turn him into something for that offensive line.
So go back to March 16th. Brandon Collier, who is the founder of PPI Recruits, which is a database for international players to get into American football, puts out this video. It's like 3 seconds long of him just going through a basically a drill where he's lining up like a right tackle and taking on a would-be edge defender trying to get around him. And again, he basically just kind of shoves him off to the side into like some workout equipment or whatever's at this facility that they're using here. And apparently this is what sent everybody into a frenzy. He's getting offers left and right. Like a couple days later, he's visiting Miami. He went to Michigan. He went to Georgia. Obviously visits South Carolina as well. So what a whirlwind in just 2 weeks for this guy that nobody here had heard of, that was playing rugby overseas, quickly became the most sought-after prospect, and now is at South Carolina of all places.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, South Carolina's got some freak athletes on their team, like Nick Harbor and players like that. But, yeah, to get this guy on your team, and, again, I mean, I don't think anyone's expecting him to go out here and be day one impact guy, starting at left tackle. There's going to be – it's one thing to go out here and do a little pass pro when there's no pads on or anything, and you're just simply kicking back and all that and trying to block a guy. It's another thing to go out here in full pads and run the plays, the scheme of the offensive line. Like, there's definitely probably going to be some learning curve there. But I will say it seems like he's got the tools. He's already got the physical brute strength, from playing rugby. He's a huge guy. You just don't find guys like this off the street. And in this case, South Carolina, I think is fortunate to have this guy come here when you have, some really good programs like Miami, Michigan, Tennessee, other schools like that were in on this guy too. North Carolina is another one that was in on him, and he decided to come to South Carolina. So I'm interested to learn more about this guy as the year goes along, once we probably get a chance to talk to him in the summer and whatnot. And we'll obviously hear from Shane Beamer tomorrow. So perhaps we'll get more insight from him now that he's officially signed too. That's the other thing. So I think Shane is allowed to talk about him at this point. But yeah, very interested to hear more about how this whole thing kind of unfolds, because it is a very interesting story.
So does Shane just address it outright in his opening statement, or does he wait for David to ask him the first question about it?
I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if David's going to be there tomorrow because...
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was out in Sacramento.
Yeah, because, I mean, I'm sure a lot of the women's basketball beats probably also just going straight from Sacramento to Phoenix,
so
assuming they win.
Who takes the first question if David's not there? Is that like, is there a pecking order?
Not really. It's kind of just... I think usually it'll be Hale McGranahan from the Big Spur, but I think it really just depends on who's all there. So, yeah, but it'll probably be Hale then tomorrow. But, yeah, I'm not expecting a big crowd out there at the Beamer availability, just because, assuming basketball wins on the women's side, it's probably going to be a lighter crowd, which is, par for the course.
Regardless, he's going to get asked about it or talk about it in some degree tomorrow, and I'm interested to hear his thoughts. I think it's interesting that, and this is the story, per The Athletic, that has kind of been following this for the past couple of weeks, but Bruce Feldman, that Neff Giwa noted that Randy Clements, new offensive line coach here at South Carolina, his track record with developing international talent was a big selling point for him coming to South Carolina. Because, again, this is a guy that seemingly knows nothing about American football, has obviously never played it before, so why wouldn't you come to a place with a guy that has a track record of taking former talents, Sebastian Vollmer when he was at Houston, as well as Danny Watkins, a former hockey player that he turned into a first-rounder when he was at Baylor? Why wouldn't you come play for a guy that quite literally has done exactly what you're hoping he can do?
Exactly, and you already have another international guy on this team in J.O. with Justin Okoronkwo, so it's not like he's... South Carolina's got their international guys on the team, and I'm sure there's other programs out there that are kind of like that as well. But I'm sure maybe that played a little bit of a factor too. But you're right. The development, I think, of developing some international guys, it definitely sticks out. And I don't see this being a immediate impact type of deal. I think this is a little bit more of a project just because he's very raw right now. We just don't know what he brings to the table other than a 3-second clip should not automatically guarantee that this guy is going to be day one impact guy. If he has to be a day one impact guy, then that just means some guys just aren't performing. I think that's ultimately what it's going to mean.
That or you have a lot of injuries over the course of the next couple months, which, knock on wood, let's hope not.
Yeah, you really hope you don't have to play this guy right away. It's not because we just don't know if he's good or bad. We just don't know what he really is yet. And I think you want him to just get a year under his belt, probably playing, kind of going through practice, being an everyday college football player, and then hopefully like next year or 2 years from now, he's turned into a guy that, when Peak and all these other guys that are here for 1 year are out the door, you can rely on a guy like Neff. I think it is Giwa. I was looking it up. The G is pronounced like Ga, so not
Giwa.
Okay. So we'll hear it from Shane tomorrow to have official confirmation, but I believe it is Neff Giwa.
Okay.
So let's roll with that. Neff Giwa.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't think anyone's expecting him to go out here, be day one impact guy. That just means something went wrong for South Carolina otherwise. Maybe he can't. I don't know. But I just think it'd be very hard to believe that he's playing right out of the gate as a guy. That would be some story. That's something you see for like a Disney movie.
And I don't know, maybe he's a savant where he just takes to football like a pig to mud, and it's second nature to him, and he becomes the greatest player we've ever seen. I don't know, but I think, again, like you said, you should set your expectations low at this point in time. Give it some time, because, again, he's just got to learn the game. And I know he's been watching film and tape and all this kind of stuff, but watching it and doing it are two completely different things. And you think about situations in football, right? And you can go through practice and practice certain things, but there are so many things that'll pop up in a football game that if you've just not played the game, you're not going to be prepared for. So a lot of getting him up to speed on that, letting him see things, learning from other offensive linemen that have been doing it probably their whole lives is probably going to be good. So yeah, I wouldn't expect to see him on the field this fall, but again, he gets an entire year of development and work under his belt. Who knows what happens in 2027 and beyond, but it is a just pretty fascinating story that this guy that, again, took the college football world by storm in the past 2 weeks did end up at Carolina. Because let's face it, I think most people here don't expect Carolina to land those kind of guys, right? And you mentioned, according to Wes, that they didn't necessarily have to be the highest bidder, and having Randy Clements with his track record certainly helped out with that. But, Carolina is not a program that lands 4 and 5 5-star guys left and right. So when we do, it's a big deal. And this guy doesn't have a star rating because, again, this whole process has been so crazy, but it is pretty neat that it did end up here.
Yeah. Again, I'm very interested to hear how this all kind of unfolded from Shane's standpoint. I'm sure that's probably what the meat of the press conference will be about tomorrow. Again, we're in spring practice right now, and we'll get to see the guys actually go out there and practice tomorrow.
You'll be there tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, because the schedule is kind of tweaked a little bit with the Easter holiday coming up this week. So the guys have off. I think it's like Thursday, Friday, something like that. But yeah, interested to just see. And I wonder, is Giwa going to be there tomorrow? Like what is the timetable as far as like, when's he getting here? Or, when's he going to, be able to practice? Does he even practice this spring, Or do they kind of wait till summer? Like there's a lot that probably needs to be unpacked about this whole thing, just beyond the guy's a freak athlete, played rugby, he's a big dude, and he has a 3-second pass blocking drill. Like there's definitely more to this story that we just haven't heard yet.
I'm going to guess he's going to end up on Bruce Feldman's freak list when that comes out later on this year.
Yeah.
Probably safe bet.
Yeah, safe bet. And The Athletic already wrote a story about this guy. So, that's kind of how this whole thing seemingly just the ball got rolling on this thing with him being on, in an article from The Athletic and just the hype. There's a lot of hype with this guy, and we'll see what he is. He could turn out to be nothing, but who knows? He's a project, I think, and I think that's something that we're going to see what Clem and Jason Smith can do with him.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, it can't hurt, right? Again, you're not bringing this guy in saying, all right, hey, guess what? you're going to be a starting right tackle this upcoming year. If he does manage to do that, A, you probably dealt with a lot of injuries, or B, this guy is just a freak of nature that can adapt to anything instantly. Not setting those expectations that way, but having more depth doesn't hurt. And again, over time, if you get a year of development under this guy's belt, who knows what he could be. So yeah, if you have the resources, you have the spot on your roster, why not? So I think we're all interested in seeing this play out. But again, it's not gonna happen tomorrow. So be patient.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're right.
So we'll see what happens there. But Neff Giwa, did I say that right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sounds right to me.
Neff Giwa, committed to South Carolina, will be eligible to play right away. And again, we'll see what Coach Beamer says about him tomorrow and what that process of getting him up to speed on American football looks like. And much like Nicky Minori's parents, when his mom got interviewed prior to the Super Bowl, I would love to know Giwa's parents' thoughts on American football as they learn this process. Hopefully they'll get to come to some games this fall and all that kind of stuff, because they seemingly had no clue about any of it until like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's crazy how it all kind of came about. It just seemingly just out of thin air, but that's you get stories like this every now and then, so it's kind of crazy.
It's cool, it's unique, and again, pretty neat that it's happening here with him committing to South Carolina yesterday. So that is pretty awesome. And again, we'll follow that as the year goes along. Coming up next, though, some big news outside of, or in the sports world, but not necessarily on a court, field, or course in this instance. What that coming up next? It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Feltry with you on your Monday on The Game.
Wow, what a play! The Game Network, Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at herndonchevy.com.
We are the South Carolina Forestry Commission. As an emergency response organization, we work to prevent and suppress wildfires statewide. As an economic development institution, we help recruit forest products industries to South Carolina. As a customer service agency, we work with landowners large and small to help them manage their forest lands to the maximum potential. As a champion for natural resource conservation, we teach environmental education to students and even train teachers how to do the same. As a purveyor of scientific and sustainable forestry, we practice what we preach on state lands, advancing tree genetics, conducting prescribed burning, and optimizing forest land for many uses. The work we do supports the responsible and sustainable growth of the state's woodlands, the industries that use them, and the quality of life their bounty supports. We are the South Carolina Forestry Commission.
South Carolina Forest. They'll grow on you.
Sponsored by the South Carolina Forestry Commission, South Carolina Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Bill Gunner for AAA Heating and Air. Let me tell you something. I know what Columbia summers are like. I've lived here in Columbia for 43 years, and it gets what they call a little hot. Is your air conditioner ready to handle the summer heat that is on the way? If not, today is the day. Get in touch with AAA Heating and Air. Call AAAtoday.com. That's how you can get in touch with them. Again, that website, call AAAtoday.com. Let me tell you something. They've got incredible deals. Right now, 15-year parts and labor warranty, a $1,500 buyback, and no payments for 1 whole year. You don't want to miss this deal, because even the best part, financing is guaranteed. So call AAA Heating and Air, 803-677-1500, or visit them on the web. Call AAAtoday.com. Talk to AAA Heating and Air and tell them Bill Gunner, 107.5 The Game, sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Get as loud as you can for Monster Jam!
The one and only Monster Jam. Packed with stunts, smiles, and jaw-dropping skills. See the world's best drivers tear up the dirt in your favorite Monster Jam trucks. Like Gravedigger, El Toro Loco, Sparkle Smash, and more. Only at Monster Jam. Coming to Colonial Life Arena April 18th and 19th. Brought to you by BKT Tires and Texas Roadhouse. Lock in your seats today at monsterjam.com.
Don't you love being treated special when you shop and saving money? That just makes it even better. At Gamecock Traditions, they've got more ways to save on all your Gamecock gear. Sign up for their emails and get the news and deals first. Show your Gamecock Club card, your Alumni Association card, or your faculty ID and score a discount on Gamecock merchandise. Military, use Save. Is it your birthday? Use Save. And don't forget their loyalty program. Earn cash back on every purchase, and it never expires. That's the Gamecock Traditions way. Lexington, Sandhills Village, or online at GamecockTraditions.com.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
I was feeling the same way. After 40, the body has less testosterone, and men lose their edge. That's why I take Nugenix Total T2.
That's the testosterone booster, right?
Yes, but Total T2 is their brand new formula that skyrockets nitric oxide levels in as little as 3 hours. Since I started taking it, I've been lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. My energy is way up, and it even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yep, just send a text.
Text HIM to 215-215 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the next generation testosterone booster. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text HIM to 215-215. That's HIM to 215-215.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Paid for by Adaptive Health. Oh, yeah. The Extra Point with Tyler Head.
And the kick is good.
Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Belcher with you here on your Monday on the Game. Coming up later on this week, on Friday, will be the Game Spring Golf Classic over at Charwood Golf Club in West Columbia. Still time for you to sign up. You can come hang out with us. Saki's Morning Libations Bar will be providing the beverages. Onion sausages provided, as always, by the Lexington Gamecock Club. $400 per team. Give Charwood a call at 803-755-2000. Press number 2 to register again for this Friday's Game Spring Golf Classic. Jack, there are times where you see a headline or get a notification on something and you almost kind of have like deja vu of like, feel like I've seen this or read this before. That's exactly what happened on Friday, because about the time that I got home on Friday, around 3:30, I get the buzz on my phone from ESPN, and it says Tiger Woods involved in a major accident. And I'm thinking, what year is this? Because I feel like I've read this headline many times before. Now, at the time, we didn't know anything, any detail about it, and I won't lie to you, I thought this was going to be like major injury, close to death type of accident, because there weren't a lot of details. That's not the case necessarily, but it does end up being something that once again puts Tiger in the crosshairs of a lot of negative publicity.
Yeah, I thought this might be something along the lines of that crash he had that was really bad in 21, or that DUI he had in 2017 with that famous mug shot of him that's just staring straight into blank space. But yeah, so this happened on Friday, like you said, and according to reports, police said he was trying to pass a truck in his SUV, and he clipped the trailer, lost control, and that caused the vehicle to flip on its side. So, there's a picture out there of that you can look up of his SUV kind of turned over on its side, and he seems okay. It seems like he didn't get hurt or anything. There were no injuries or anything like that. He was able to get out of the vehicle himself. He's very lucky to be alive, number one. But the interesting part about all this is that he was arrested at the scene for a DUI, so driving under the influence, and a breathalyzer test showed no alcohol, but the officers said he showed signs of impairment. He refused a urine test, which led to an additional charge. So I gotta think he's on something. I mean, if he's not, drinking and driving or anything, I gotta think there's something there, whether it's painkillers or some sort of addiction. Something is clearly up with Tiger, and he has a history, right? He has the prior DUI from 2017. He had the awful crash from 2021 that I think really, after winning the Masters 2 years before and playing some really good golf, I think that's kind of set him back to a point now where, if he just makes the cut in a tournament, that's good enough. Like the Tiger's best days are behind him at this point. Like there's no way he's getting back to a point where he's ever going to win a major or let alone a tournament again. But yeah, it's just a setback right after he had. It seemed like he was on the come up to play potentially in the Masters. And I know we can get to that because he had just played in the TGL the other night before, like a few days earlier. But yeah, this is an unfortunate situation for Tiger, but it's not really that surprising, I would say.
Well, and just kind of thinking about this year alone, because I think it was at the Genesis a few months back where, he was asked about, hey, any interest in...
It was like a month ago.
Yeah, a month ago. Any interest in playing the Masters? And, we seemed to like the answer that he gave, so there was some positive momentum for that. Again, he had been dealing with the injuries and stuff the past couple of years that had kept him away. Then you have the thing with the TGL the other day, which that was met with a lot of positive reviews. His team didn't win, but still it was him getting back in golf in some realm. And I know he's been involved with that team here for a while now. And then you follow this up a couple days later, which obviously kills that momentum. Again, from an injury standpoint, he seems to be fine. So I don't think that anything like that is going to deter. But, you got to be as locked in can be if you want to be competitive for any golf tournament, let alone the Masters. And when you have these kind of distractions going on in your personal life and outside, that's something that's obviously going to hold you back. And it's sad to see because, again, he is the greatest golfer of our lifetimes, right? And what he was doing in the mid-2000s when he was on his crazy run is something that may never be replicated ever again. And, golf is one of those sports where these guys can hang around for such a long time because it's a sport where you don't have to retire when you're 45. You can play into your 50s or 60s and sometimes still be really competitive. But it seems like Tiger has these self-destructive habits that are going to prevent him from extending his golf career as long as he probably wants to.
And we don't know all the details on, like, okay, what if he passed the breathalyzer, if he didn't show anything on the breathalyzer test, no alcohol, then what's the problem right now? Is there a drug addiction? Is it painkiller? Like what is going on that is causing Tiger to be arrested, right? Because again, he showed signs of impairment. So what is going on there? Because I think he needs help, man. He needs help, and I think it brings up the question of, because like the Masters is, we're a week away from festivities getting going next week at the Masters, and the tournament begins a week and a half from now, next Thursday. It's not so much will he play in the Masters. I don't think that's necessarily the question. I think the question is, should he or should he not? Because I think he could play in the Masters if he wanted to. Again, he's not hurt. He didn't get injured in this crash. I think he's physically fine. Now, of course, we know over the years he's not a full-time PGA Tour player anymore. He's very selective with what he plays. He mostly has played majors over the last few years. Of course, the Masters is something that you can go back to last year. He's always played the Masters. And I think had nothing happened here, I think he'd be very much on track. Like after playing in the TGL for a round, it felt like he's very much on track to play the Masters. But at this point, with this whole saga that just went on, and knowing that there's something clearly up with him, does it even make sense for him to play in the Masters? Like, is that a good strategy for him to go out there and play, or kind of just take this one off? I know he wants to be there, but does it make sense for him to even play? That's the question.
Well, and for him especially, with how high level of a competitor he is, does he want to play if he thinks he can't go out there and compete? Because he's very much in like that Michael Jordan Elm-esque of like, this dude wants to win at everything every single time, which is a big reason for why he had so much success early on in his career. So if he knows he's not in the right headspace to go out there and be competitive or make the cut or anything like that, is it worth it for him to go play the Masters? He obviously has to answer those questions himself, but certainly not something that, and thankfully nobody else got hurt in this thing, because they have not been able to determine his like actual traveling speed. They do suspect he was going faster than the, I think, 30-mile-per-hour limit. that was, in that area. So thankfully there was not another car coming from the other way or anything like that. But, he got out of it seemingly unscathed from a physical standpoint. But again, I don't think with the Masters next week, like you said, he's in any kind of headspace to go out there and be competitive, which again, when people tune in to watch Tiger Woods, they want to see him be the best version of himself, like we saw in 2019, because he seemingly turned back the clock then and had, at that point in time, we thought he'd put all the problems of, his infidelity and the DUIs and all that kind of stuff in his past. And obviously these things still continue to crop up, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I think if anything, you have to look at it this way. I think if he plays in the Masters next week, it's a huge distraction. It is. Tiger's a big name alone, but then you have this whole thing going on. That's a huge distraction, and will definitely take eyeballs away from the rest of the guys at the tournament, right? So I think, and even if he just shows up and doesn't play, like if he's just there, kind of like a lot of the old Masters champions are, like it's still a distraction. So I don't know what the best course of action is here for him. I think at this point, like just making the cut is simply, what we expect from him. Like it's very physically demanding for him to go out there and walk 72 holes over an entire weekend. Like it's just, even before this crash happened, like it's just physically demanding on him. So I don't know, honestly, if he's going to play. It'll be very interesting to keep up with, but I think maybe it's probably best to sit this one out because of what's just gone on. And I think he needs help. I mean, we will see what the ultimate, details are of everything. Like, was he on something? Was he going, way over the speed limit? Was he just driving recklessly? Like what happened here? Beyond just, he clipped the trailer and he flipped his car over. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. But I think in the best interest of him and golf this upcoming, next week here, I think it would be best if he's just not playing in the tournament.
We'll see what happens, but there's the latest on Tiger Woods from his crash there on Friday. We'll get back into the Final Four coming up next. I think you know who our Sprung a Leak's going to be. We'll hit that next. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Feltry on your Monday on the Game.
All my sports. The Game Network. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 96.9 The Game in Charleston. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
This hour of in-show listening on 107.5 The Game is sponsored by QC Kinetics in West Columbia, the non-surgical regenerative orthopedic specialists of the Midlands. Request your consultation today by dialing pound 250 and use keyword QC Kinetics.
Discover the Griffin difference and come shop the annual spring sale this Wednesday and Thursday, 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. Everything retail is 10% off. BioGuard chemicals, Yeti coolers, Turtle Box speakers, Big Green eggs, everything on sale. And they're ready to get your pool spring ready. Family owned and operated for 50 years. Come discover the Griffin difference at Griffin Pools and Spas in Lexington and online at griffinpoolsandspas.com.
Griffin Pools and Spas, we make you feel good.
Hey guys, it's Jay Phillips for the Men's Clinic. Too often guys will not go to the doctor when they're feeling off, whether it's because they think they can tough it out or because they don't want to talk about it. Don't be that guy. Get to feeling better after you see Dr. Dan Balknight and his team at the Men's Clinic. They are experts in healthcare for men, and they're dedicated to making you feel like yourself again. Call them up for a free consultation, 803-875-MENS, and learn more online at themensclinicsc.com.
Are you considering a new roof or repairs but unsure where to start? Crescent Construction offers free roofing estimates to help you make informed decisions with ease. Our expert team is ready to assess your needs and provide comprehensive insights. Visit our website, crescentcarolina.com, to learn more about our services and schedule your free estimate today. Trust us to guide you through the process with professionalism and care. Don't wait. Contact us today at crescentcarolina.com.
Get as loud as you can for Monster Jam!
The one and only Monster Jam. packed with stunts, smiles, and jaw-dropping skills. See the world's best drivers tear up the dirt in your favorite Monster Jam trucks, like Gravedigger, El Toro Loco, Sparkle Smash, and more. Only at Monster Jam. Coming to Colonial Life Arena April 18th and 19th. Brought to you by BKT Tires and Texas Roadhouse. Lock in your seats today at monsterjam.com.
The Gant family with Pioneer Tree Service has been taking care of trees in Columbia and surrounding areas for over 48 years. Pioneer Tree Service provides tree and shrub removal, pruning and thinning, tree planting, cabling and bracing, raising tree canopies, stump grinding and removal, storm damage services, property cleaning and grading, right-of-way maintenance, and more. They also provide 24-hour emergency tree removal. They can also handle the removal of diseased and dead trees before an emergency happens. Call them today for a free estimate. 803-794-8253. The Gant family and their team at Pioneer Tree Service can be trusted to provide professional and quality tree services with affordable pricing for residential or commercial jobs. Ashton Smith called Pioneer Tree Service and said they came when she was leaving for work, and when she got home, the tree was gone, as if it was never there. She was so impressed with Pioneer Tree Service, she will definitely use them again. Here's one of the Gant girls, Madison Gant.
Call us today for a free estimate at 803-794-8253 or check us out online at pioneertreesc.com.
The South Carolina Forestry Commission is the only state agency charged with protecting the state's nearly 13 million acres of forest land from wildfire.
And we stay busy, fighting an average of 1,300 wildfires that burn nearly 8,000 acres a year. From the mountains
to the swamps
to the sandhills
to the barrier islands.
We're there. We are the South Carolina Forestry Commission.
South Carolina Forest, they'll grow on you.
Sponsored by the South Carolina Forestry Commission, South Carolina Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Inside with Chris Van Vliet.
Hey, I'm Chris Van Vliet.
Behind-the-scenes conversations with the biggest names in pro wrestling and beyond.
How did you know you weren't going to kill Hornswoggle with that move? I didn't. That fall with suicide. I don't know how you survived.
Yeah, luck. And special live coverage of the biggest professional wrestling event of the year.
If you've ever wanted to know where the best place to watch WrestleMania is, right here. I've got a live show there, Insight Live, on the Thursday night.
Pro wrestling at its best.
Insight with Chris Van Vliet. Follow and listen on your favorite platform. See you there.
Hate paying for streaming? Well, the 107.5 The Game app is free. Yes, free. Just download the 107.5 The Game app.
What team sprung a leak this weekend? Sponsored by American Leak Detection on the Extra Point.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. Ooh.
Welcome back in. Extra Point. Tyler Head, Jack Beltry with you on your Monday here on the game. It is time for Who Sprung a Leak, brought to you by our friends over at American Leak Detection. We go back to last night's Elite Eight with Duke and UConn. Again, Duke had a 19-point lead, including a 15-point lead at halftime. They end up blowing it, falling to UConn 73-72. Here's how it sounded on Duke's home radio broadcast.
It in, they do for Boozer. Bobbled it, back for Starr. Needs to get rid of it, does for Caden. 7 seconds, try to throw it ahead, deflected, stolen by Connecticut. 2 seconds, it's Mullins up top for the win. Oh, he hit it. With 0.3 of a second to go. Malachi Smith ran off the bench. That should be a technical. But with 0.3 of a second to go, Connecticut has the lead, 73-72. As Connecticut got the three from Mullins after the turnover from Caden Boozer.
You can just feel his heart getting ripped out, right? And again, like, hometown calls are always going to be biased towards the home team. But, man, it's always interesting when these things pop up on the timeline after moments like that, especially for a team like Duke that doesn't expect to be the subject of those kind of things or being on the wrong end of it. That makes it that much more interesting. And to no surprise, people are reveling in Duke blowing this, reveling in Duke collapsing the way that they did. And I think it says something for how much people hate Duke, the fact that this many people are seemingly on UConn's side of it, because Dan Hurley is not a likable guy. UConn's not a team that I think a lot of people generally like, but they hate Duke that much, they're willing to be on UConn's side here.
Yeah, I mean, Duke falls into that quadrant of it's Duke, the Yankees, the Lakers, the Cowboys. Like like those teams, when they lose, I think everyone kind of, obviously not me with the Yankees, but most people, lose their minds and go nuts when the Yankees lose. So.
They are the organizations and teams, and rightfully so. They're among the most successful in their respective sports, and Duke is, without a doubt, one of the blue bloods of college basketball that garner the interest of a lot of casual people, right? Like people that aren't diehard college basketball fans say, oh, I like Duke basketball. People that aren't the biggest baseball fans, oh, I like the Yankees. NFL, oh, I like the Cowboys. It's like low-hanging fruit for a lot of people. Now, you're from New York. You are a legitimate Yankees fan. You follow the team. You watch every game. But there are a lot of casual fans, and I think that's what bothers people a lot with these type of teams is they tend to draw in the people that don't really care, that just want to be associated with the best teams or the best organizations.
Yeah, I mean, like when someone's a Duke fan, I think one of the first questions is, oh, did you go to Duke? And it's like, nope.
Yeah, did your parents go to Duke?
No.
You from North Carolina?
Yeah.
It's like you're from, I don't know.
Yeah, random place.
Utah. Yeah, that doesn't really make you a Duke fan, does it?
Like, I get it. I mean, I don't hold it against anyone if, like, they did not go. Like, there's a lot of fan bases like that, a lot of fans that, I don't think you have to necessarily go to the school to be a fan of the team, right? I don't think you have to be that. Like, that's perfectly fine, right? But what I will say is that, yes, there's a large following of Duke fans, and I think a lot of people enjoy when they when in their misery. So that was definitely the case yesterday with that type of performance.
Would you like to hear the UConn home broadcast?
Yeah, let me hear it.
Here's the other side.
And Boozer, they double him. Back to Sarr. Now ahead to Caden Boozer. And a steal. Mullins gets it. It's Caravan to Mullins. Long-range three. Oh! It went in! Mullins delivers. Bedlam here.
They're going to go to the monitor to review it.
Absolute bedlam as Mullins threw a 45-footer in.
The almost losing his voice makes that even cooler. By the way, did you see, because the CBS broadcast, they have the camera on the table for the announcers. We're seeing Bill Rafferty and Grant Hill react to this.
Yes.
I thought Rafferty was going to have a heart attack personally because it's like his soul left his body for a second. He couldn't believe what he saw.
Kudos to those guys for like keeping their cool there, not like just absolutely, which I don't think anyone would have blamed them for going absolutely nuts there. But good call by Ian Eagle there, and just to let the moment kind of just play out and not just, make it about yourself, kind of going nuts and whatnot. So, but that's, I don't know how Grant Hill kind of kept his composure. I don't know how either of those guys kept their composure there, because that was a sick moment yesterday.
Well, Rafferty just looked stunned, and then after what seemed like an hour just says utterly impossible, because he was trying to piece it together too. It's one of those things that even in your I'm sitting in my living room watching this, and my mouth's just like open. I couldn't believe what I saw either, so I can't imagine having to come up with a synopsis in the moment like that.
Like, I honestly wonder what, like, the percentages of, like, Duke or UConn winning that game were in those weaning seconds there. It's like, I mean, Duke probably had a, like, 90% chance to win that game there at the end, because all they had to do was just play a little bit of keep away, get the ball across half court. I mean, shoot, they could have even called a timeout in that moment, reset, just get the ball in your best foul shooter's hands, and then force UConn to foul you. But credit to UConn for kind of taking a little bit of a gamble, bringing the press, double teaming, or running a little bit of that trap defense and getting a huge break there. Right? I mean, that's a 1 in a million sequence there where. It's one thing to force the turnover there.
Sure.
It's a completely other thing there to not just force the turnover, but to get the shot. And again, Mullins pulled up from like damn near half court. I mean, that is so many things had to go right in that moment, and they did. And yeah, I mean, you need a little bit of that March magic, and UConn certainly got it there at the end.
This again is going to be remembered as one of the greatest moments in March Madness history. The Leitner shot is obviously number one, but this is going to find its way. Again,
Chris Jenkins, man.
Yeah, it also depends on, if UConn goes on to win the national championship especially, I think that adds layers to this too.
Yes.
Because, again, it has the stakes. It was an Elite Eight game to punch your ticket to the Final Four. It has the shock value if everything played out. We need a name for it. I haven't seen any names thrown out there, but when you can have a name for a moment that kind of just becomes common phrasing around the college basketball world, I think that adds to the memorability of it, too. I just don't know what we're going to call this.
I don't know, man. But I'll tell you what, though. I think it sets up for a very interesting Final Four here. You got the Final Four teams are Arizona, Illinois, Michigan, and UConn. I don't know how many people had that as their Final Four for the bracket, but I think we got some really good games coming up here this weekend.
By the way, Dan Hurley, of course, they won back-to-back national championships a couple of years ago. He is undefeated when he makes the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. If he gets past the second round, he has never lost a game.
That's fascinating.
10-0.
Wow. That's crazy.
And the ability to win 2 more and go to 12-0 and have his third national championship. I think people look at Michigan as maybe the best overall team left. They're favored against Arizona coming up on Saturday. UConn, the underdog to Illinois. But I don't doubt Hurley's ability to find a way to win 2 more games. Right? Like, I wouldn't sit here and be shocked by it if this time next Tuesday we're talking about UConn winning another national championship.
Right now, as I'm looking at the CBS Sports app, UConn is a 2.5-point dog. And then Arizona, who I think is playing – I mean, Michigan's really good right now. Michigan just blew the doors off of Tennessee. But Arizona, who I thought maybe would fall at some point, maybe in that Arkansas game, has really been playing good basketball. They're a 1.5-point dog. I know the spread doesn't usually matter, but just something interesting to keep an eye on. So Illinois, UConn at 6:09 p.m. on Saturday out in Indy. And then shortly after that, around 9 o'clock, it'll be Michigan, Arizona going on, man. Is there a matchup from those two that you're like, that's like, I think it's probably the Michigan-Arizona game. That's probably the game to watch there.
Yeah, probably so. Again, I think most people look at Michigan as a better team. Arizona definitely capable, very efficient with their offense. That they could win that game and get themselves back to the national championship. I don't think that would shock anybody. But no, I think we get 2 really good matchups to set up for what's hopefully going to be a fun national championship coming up next Monday. That's all you can ask for late in the tournament, right? Again, we've talked about the upsets, the lack of upsets this year, compared to years past. But we've had a lot of great drama in the late stages of these games, and I think we're setting up for 3 hopefully really good games to close this thing out.
Yeah, I mean, the thing you want at the end here is we got 4 really good teams playing against each other. We got all the storylines. We got good teams in these matchups here. It's going to be really fun to watch Saturday night out there in Indy.
And then again, the national championship on Monday night. Tip-off's to like 9:20 or something like that?
I don't know the exact time, but it's definitely late. I would probably guess closer to 9. But it's going to be a late one, man, but it always is.
And again, hopefully the women's team is playing for a national championship this upcoming Sunday that we can talk about as well. We'll come back. We'll hit our future headlines from the weekend, see how we did as the Extra Point rolls along. Tyler Head and Jack Feltry on your Monday on the Game.
Wow, what a play. The Game Network. Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass.
This is a Westwood One Sports Minute.
After a second consecutive collapse to end his team's season, Duke head coach John Shire are going to have to answer a lot of questions moving forward. It's not that Shire can't ever win a national championship. He probably will at some point if they keep recruiting like this. Coach Mike Krzyzewski didn't win a title until losing in 4 Final Fours, so Shire can win a championship, but until that happens, people are going to have serious doubts about Duke's coach. I'm Nick Costos.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm Boomer Esiason. My mom died from cancer. She was only 37 years old. She didn't have life insurance, and that was devastating for my family. That's why having life insurance is so important to me. Ethos makes it fast and easy. Get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. You can get up to $3 million in coverage with no medical exam.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/play. That's ethos.com/play. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-694-1010. That's 1-800-694-1010. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. 1-800-694-1010. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
With other language learning apps, I was just playing games. I wasn't really learning. Babbel's different.
Babbel was designed by over 200 language learning experts to be the most effective way to learn another language.
Every time I open the app, I can choose to work on my writing, speaking, or listening. And it saves my mistakes for me to review, so I'm constantly improving. Before Babbel, I thought I just wasn't good with languages. But now I'm speaking French. Tout ça, c'est grâce à Babbel.
Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. BABBEL.com.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Oh, yeah. The Extra Point with Tyler Head.
And the kick is good.
Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Beltry wrapping up hour number 2 here on your Monday on the Game, where we look back on our headlines of the weekend. What do we think was going to happen? And, well, Jack, we weren't quite
Boozer, they double them. Back to Sarr. Now ahead to Caden Boozer. And a steal.
Trying to replay that into the game once again. We weren't quite as successful this week as we were last week. I thought between playing Michigan State and possibly Duke, UConn was going to find a way to lose one of those two games, and Dan Hurley was going to have a meltdown. Now, he had some moments, especially yesterday.
Yeah, he had a headbutt.
With some of the officiating that bordered on meltdown, but they won the game, so he was obviously happy afterwards, and we didn't get a classic Dan Hurley postgame.
No, we didn't. My headline was, I think it was St. John's beating Duke and going to the Final Four.
Yep.
Yeah, just did not work out. They lost 80-75 in the Sweet 16 to Duke on Friday. Did cover the spread, though, so I think that's a win right there. But, yeah, I mean, look, if you had told me St. John's would knocked down 13 threes in this game, shot 45%, I would have told you, all right, they'd have a chance to win. And, of course, they did. The problem is they got out-rebounded pretty bad, 40-27. Didn't turn the ball over much at all, but really just what it came down to was, Duke just making a few more shots down the stretch. Went 53.6% from the field, the Blue Devils did, compared to that 45% mark for St. John's. And, just not enough in the end. But, yeah, Rick Pitino got that program on the right track there. It's just, it's tough to be a team like Duke. But, of course, unless Duke beats itself down the stretch.
Yeah, and, over the weekend, we also learned that Rick Pitino received a contract extension. He's the second highest paid coach in the Big East, now behind, of course, Dan Hurley at UConn, as he's been extended through the 2029-2030 season. He's currently 73 right now. I would think that's probably going to be the end of his coaching tenure, because by then he'll be in his mid to late 70s, 76, 77 years old. But he proved to you once again with a deep tournament run and playing a tight game against Duke the other day to nearly make it into the Elite Eight that he's still one of the best coaches out there and capable of going on these deep tournament runs as he showed this year.
So right now, Rick Pitino, overall record is 791 and 315. That's a 715 winning percentage. We've heard him talk about before, it would be pretty cool to get to 1,000 wins. So right now, looking at the math, doing some quick math in my head, he's 209 wins away. So, look, so far at St. John's, he's won 20 games, he's won 31, he's won 30. I don't think he's getting to 1,000, but is it possible for him? He'll get to 800, obviously. Yep. Is it possible for him to get to 900 over the next few years? Sure. He'd probably have to have a few 30-win seasons over the next few years. Now, you said that contract goes till when?
29-30. So
by then, he would be about 76. I would not be shocked if that's like that seemingly would be the end point for him.
Probably.
But I think he loves basketball to a point where, and he's talked about again before, wanting to get to 1,000 wins. I don't think he's going to get there by the end, because I think at that point he'll probably be pushing 80.
He would need to average 30 wins a year for 7 straight seasons consecutively to get right to 1,000 wins.
And I just don't know if that, like, a lot of things have to go right. And I just don't know if that's going to happen, because time catches up with everybody.
Sure.
Father Time is undefeated, even for coaching. And I don't know. I think it would be great to see Rick Pitino get to 1,000 wins, but I thought he was a bit closer. I thought when I've heard him talk about it, I thought, like, oh, okay, he's probably like 850, close to getting to 900. No, he's at 791. So
now, is that including the vacated wins?
Ooh, that's a good point.
Because he's got quite a few of those over his career.
I'm just on Wiki right now, and it says 791, 315. Ooh, that's a good question.
Because if we're accounting,
I don't know that right now. Let me look.
Because if we're counting vacated wins, he's probably a lot closer.
He probably is a lot closer.
Let's see. So obviously got a vacated championship. Okay, yeah, the NCAA vacated 123 wins.
Yeah,
from his time at Louisville.
Dang. Okay, so he probably won't get to 1,000. But if you include the vacated wins, so 791 plus 123, is that what you said?
Yes.
Let's see.
So yeah,
he'd be at 914 wins. Yes, he would get to 1,000. Now I wonder how he views it though. I think he probably still views those wins as wins on the record, but of course they're not included because they're vacated.
But it's one of those things, like, it happened, right? Like, he was there for it.
The games happened.
The games happened. It is funny how we retroactively try and scrub things from record books when they did happen. So I don't know. He may be like, yeah, I count those.
Yeah. And so when he talks about getting to 1,000, because it's like, oh, he's 209 wins away. What's he talking about getting to 1,000? He probably does include those wins that are vacated, because it's a lot. It's very much doable.
Oh yeah,
for him. He'll get to 1,000 if you include the vacated wins before his contract is up. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
The pace that St. John's is going at, they'll be fine.
Does he get back to another Final Four before then?
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no.
So?
I don't think so.
I think he gets to at least one.
Perhaps.
We'll see. But Patino not going anywhere. That'll do it for the Extra Point. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour up next here on The Game.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at herndonchevy.com.
At Cato's Power Equipment, we pride ourselves on the relationships we build with you and with your lawnmower. Right now, you can own a Toro Time Cutter or Titan Zero Turn with payments as low as $100 a month and 0% financing for qualified buyers, plus plenty of great financing offers for all credit scores. Now through April, Cato's will include a free 5-year extended warranty package backed by our Master Service Repair Center, because the tools you need to maintain your turf should come with the support you deserve. Come shop at Cato's Power Equipment, family owned since 1984.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Come Come see the entire line of GE appliances at 1421 Atlas Road. Jeffers McGill offers the best customer service and lowest price on every GE make and model, including GE Profile, Monogram, and Cafe brands. Jeffers McGill and GE, your home team.
For appliances with reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
I was feeling the same way. After 40, the body has less testosterone, and men lose their edge. That's why I take Nugenix Total T2.
That's the testosterone booster, right?
Yes, but Total T2 is their brand new formula that skyrockets nitric oxide levels in as little as 3 hours. Since I started taking it, I've been lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. My energy is way up, and it even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yep, just send a text.
Text HIM to 215-215 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the next generation testosterone booster. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text HIM to 215-215. That's HIM to 215-215.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Paid for by Adaptive Health.
Ever heard of fighting fire with fire? The South Carolina Forestry Commission does this by prescribed burning. Also known as controlled burning, it's helpful in combating pests, removing unneeded plants, prepping soil for planting, and enhancing habitats for wildlife. But the best reason to do prescribed burning is to prevent larger wildfires. By removing built-up plants or fuels on the forest floor, prescribed burning uses up the materials that would otherwise feed a wildfire. The Forestry Commission provides prescribed burning as a service to landowners, offers prescribed burning courses and certification, partners with state and federal agencies to conduct prescribed burning on public lands, and promotes the practice through Learn to Burn demonstrations around the state. Prescribed burning is the best way to keep the nearly 13 million acres of forested land in South Carolina healthy and productive.
South Carolina Forest, they'll grow on you.
Sponsored by the South Carolina Forestry Commission, South Carolina Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Looking for a dealership that treats you like family? Come to Herndon Chevrolet, where we've been proudly serving Lexington and the Midlands for over 50 years. Whether you're shopping for a new or pre-owned vehicle or just need expert service, you'll find it all right here. Shop online anytime at HerndonChevy.com or stop by and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile, smile.
Hey guys, it's Jay Phillips for the Men's Clinic. You're not feeling like yourself as you get older? You're wondering why? Don't wait for it to change or go away. Instead, see Dr. Dan Balknight and his team at the Men's Clinic. You'll have a one-on-one consultation that gets to the root of the issues and gets you back to feeling like you used to. No such thing as a one-size-fits-all treatment at the Men's Clinic. Call them up for a free consultation, 803-875-MENS, and learn more online at themensclinicsc.com.
Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station.
Throws it up. He throws it down.
The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head and Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network.
11 o'clock on your Monday morning. Welcome in. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, West, and Chris along with you here on the game. Coming off a busy weekend, guys. A lot of things happened on the court, on the diamond, the golf world, off the course as well. How we doing today, guys?
We're good. I mean, recruiting too, Tyler.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get to that too.
About to say.
Yeah.
You can't.
It was a jam-packed weekend.
I don't know if we went into the weekend knowing we were going to be talking about a commitment today, but here we are, and we'll certainly get to that in a moment because that's one of the more interesting stories in all of college football. Of course, tonight we get set for an Elite Eight matchup between the South Carolina women and TCU after another dominant performance on Saturday. And Chris, I know you weren't here on Friday, but Wes and I were talking about the point spread for this game against Oklahoma being 17.5 points. We included it in our buy or sell, and we were both kind of like, man, that's a big number for a team that you beat early in the regular season. We felt Carolina certainly playing its best basketball now, but covering that spread seemed like it was going to be a challenge. Well, it ended up not being. Carolina gets out of the 10-0 lead as they've gotten out to double-digit leads in all three of these games, basically ran away with it from there and cruised to a pretty routine victory, again, over a team that beat you last time.
Yeah, I thought maybe a 15-point win made a lot of sense. Like that would still be a pretty dominant effort, and they pretty quickly early on. I mean, Tyler likes to joke that I'm taking notes on the buy or sells over the weekend, but I was like, man, that number may actually be far easier for South Carolina to hit than we thought when we were talking about it. So, yeah, I mean, I think another example of how different people on this team can go off at any given time. And, you have, I think, an awesome example with Tanaya Latson of somebody who came in and, she was a leading scorer, as we've talked about, in the country last year. And, basically came to South Carolina knowing, like, that's not going to be the case anymore. Like, I am going to have to take on more of, like, an overall team perspective. There's not going to be quite the volume and shooting and possessing the basketball and all those things. But she did so in order to be in a position to go do what she's doing right now, and that is being an Elite Eight, being a Sweet 16, possibly go to the Final Four. And so, but I think the thing about adding Latson is you always know that the potential of her going off is in there as well. And so I think for a lot of this tournament, South Carolina has leaned on Joyce Edwards. It has felt like a huge part of the game plan has been to get her the basketball. And, and that's great. And, maybe it's somebody different tonight, but for certainly in the first half, it felt like, this is going to be a Tanaya Latson, Raven Johnson game. You saw Tessa be very, very efficient and get more involved as the game went on. But just different people on different nights, and I think that's what makes this group dangerous. And, man, if I'm TCU, I'm kind of worried right now because this team, the way they're playing right now, guys, I mean, the little touch pass from Edwards where she gets the ball in the paint and just quickly gets rid of it, possibly has an opportunity herself to score, but gives up that potential for an easy layup. Just this team appears to be in sync completely right now. I think that's pretty dangerous for any opponent. I don't want to look ahead to UConn. They got to take care of tonight, but it is playing out, if you're a Gamecock fan, in my opinion, the way you wanted it to, which is you are starting to hit on all cylinders at the exact right time, in my opinion.
Yeah, you looked up. I mean, when did Joyce score her first point?
Oh, man.
I mean, it took a while.
Yeah, it took a little bit.
That's the point. I was looking through it was taking too long. I was looking through and I do have a point to all this. I was looking through the play-by-play on ESPN, and it's, missed jump shot, missed 6-footer, missed layup, all those types of things, and you're looking up and you're going, South Carolina's winning this game handily and looks in full control despite Joyce, who you've leaned on so much this season, not having her best game early. And you knew that wouldn't stay the case. Now, she only scored 8 points. She was 3 of 13 from the field, so certainly she didn't have her best game. But to your point, Wes, that is why you have depth. That's why you have other players that can go off for you. Latson, I think, when she transferred here, you were looking at her saying, all right, there's your player who, if the rest of the offense is scuffling, if you can't get anything going, she can heat up for you and create her own shot, make things happen in transition. And that's exactly what she did this game. I mean, 28 points. She hit all 4 of her 3-point attempts. She went to the line 10 times, hit all of those, had 5 assists. I mean, that's the type of game you need from her. And you don't need her to be that good all the time, but there are going to be instances in this game of basketball where, your best player is not having their best game. It was pretty apparent. Oklahoma when Joyce Edwards got the ball, they were swarming her. They were making sure, let's try not to let her beat us, especially because you've also got to worry about Medina Okot. We saw that chess match early in the game where both, Reagan Beers sits down for Oklahoma, Okot sits down. One of them comes back in, here comes the other one, right? And so the key for this game, I think, was South Carolina getting contributions for everybody. Raven was fantastic. Latson was fantastic. You got a complete team effort, and I really think it started, too, with their defense. I mean, Oklahoma had some shots that didn't go down, but they really did a great job of turning things up defensively, making it really, really hard on Oklahoma to score at all, limiting Reagan Beers' touches. And then from there, they were able to just take things off, I thought. It was a complete team performance. And they are, right now playing how you want. They're in tournament mode. They're in March mode. They're kind of clicking on all cylinders right now.
And to answer your question, Joyce Edwards got the first points of the second half. So it took
scoreless in the first half.
Over 20 minutes for her to finally, get in there and get some points. And she ended up with 8 on the game. But again, certainly Latson, Raven, made up for that slack. And one thing we talked about, Wes, on Friday with Chris Wellbaum was how big of a factor Medina Okot was going to be in this game. We go back to that loss they had early in the season. She didn't have her best game. Now, after that, she went on her tear of double-doubles and really kind of came into her own. So this version of Medina Okot was not the same one that Oklahoma saw earlier in the season. And again, she went out there, held her on the boards by grabbing 12 rebounds and keeping Reagan Beers and Sahara Williams at bay, which is something they weren't able to do in that first matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every time you look at the box score, 10-plus rebounds at this point. And, she is like essentially a walking double-double every time she steps on the floor. And, I think almost at times, like, quietly does it, which is the most impressive part. And that's kind of what I go back to, though, man. Like, who's going to be the star tonight? Like, if Okot goes 20 and 15, is that really some super shock? It's really not. If Latson goes for 28, is that a shock? No. If early on they're feeding the ball to Joyce and she goes from, as y'all just said, not scoring in the first half to just going off for, like she was doing in the early rounds when she messed us up on a buy or sell then, I believe, because we didn't think anybody was going over 20 points, and she looked like she was going to hit it in the first quarter in one of those games. So, I think it's a team that is built different than a lot of the past South Carolina teams, but still, I think has a shot to win the whole thing, honestly. Like, I think if you looked at what UConn was doing, and again, I'm trying not to get ahead of tonight, but if you looked at what UConn was doing for much of the year, if you kind of zoomed out from a South Carolina perspective, a lot of people are probably saying that UConn team, not impossible to beat, but going to be very, very tough to beat. I feel like you've seen UConn, at least as the opponents have gotten tougher, come back to earth a little bit. That was a highly competitive game for most of the game yesterday for them. And you have seen some other teams, including South Carolina, continue to elevate and get better and better as the year goes on. So I'm hopeful South Carolina can get by a very, very good TCU team. They've only lost 5 games this year, because I think we are set for a pretty awesome Final Four. We've kind of looked at these 1 seeds, man. Like, I feel like we've kind of looked at those teams as like being a step above the rest of the country for most of the year, and I think it's gonna be fitting if the ones kind of all advance.
Again, next matchup tonight, taking on TCU. Late tip, 8:30 pregame for a 9 o'clock tip right here on 107.5 The Game for the opportunity to get to the Final Four. Chris, you going to make it to the end of that one tonight?
Yep. Got to make it.
Now, they do have, some adversaries on the other side. Olivia Miles, one of the best point guards in women's college basketball, high-level scorer, really good with assists. Marta Suarez also really good at scoring. So they're going to have, their issues to deal with, certainly, but 13.5-point favorite in this one. And, again, it's one of those games, as long as Carolina plays up to the standards we expect them to, they should be able to handle their business tonight. I'm going to be interested to see if they get out to another double-digit lead before TCU manages to score. Through the first 3 games, they've gotten out to a combined lead of 38-0 before the other opponent puts anything in the basket. Got out to the 10-0 lead the other day to Oklahoma. So they are starting these games red hot and fast. And again, they're creating gaps that these other teams can't overcome, which would obviously be huge tonight.
Yeah, I mean, when you play a team that of South Carolina's caliber and you get down, 10-0, 14-0, like it's hard to come back throughout the course of the game, especially when South Carolina continues to pour it on. You face their starters. Here comes wave 2. Here comes the second wave of people off the bench that can hurt you. So TCU's a fascinating team. Their head coach, actually, hired by Jeremiah Donati at TCU when he was in Fort Worth. That's turned out to be a very good hire because they've been in the tournament. They've been a fixture. They've been high seed. Olivia Miles is fantastic because she can do it at all levels. Almost 20 points a game, 6.5 assists a game. She's also averaging close to 2 steals a game, so defensively she can cause you some problems. It's going to be a really good matchup between her and Raven Johnson. And the other thing, I was reading something about this the other day. Their head coach at TCU, I think Mark Campbell, I think I'm getting the name right, he decided we got to add some size this offseason. And so that is going to be something that will be a little bit different for the Gamecocks. Normally you look at it, and when you throw, Ocott and Joyce Edwards out there, they're so hard to handle, that duo in the low post. TCU does have some size. You mentioned Suarez, who's a forward. She's 6'3". Clara Silva, 6'7". They've also got a backup, Kennedy Basham, who plays about 12 minutes a game. She's 6'7". So they will throw some size at you in addition to what they do with Olivia Miles, who's really, really good at guard. So they're a really good team, too. I mean, hard to pick against South Carolina right now, with the way they're playing. We've been laying it out, but should be a good one. And if you can win it, got a chance for a matchup against UConn, which would be, I think everybody wants to see that.
It's almost the matchup you root for every single year, right?
Yeah.
Because that's looked at as the 2 best programs in women's college basketball. UConn obviously got 2 over on Carolina a year ago. Didn't see them in the regular season this year. So we're all hoping we see that this upcoming weekend. Got to handle business tonight. TCU, a very effective 3-point shooting team as well. So perimeter defense going to be a big key tonight. But again, when you look at what they've done through the first 3 games, I don't think anybody doubts Carolina's ability to go out there and handle their business once again. So we'll see what happens. Again, pregame coverage starting tonight at 8:30 with Brad Muller for a 9 o'clock tip right here on 107.5 The Game. Of course, we'll react to that game coming up tomorrow. A little bit of a different story this past weekend for baseball for the first full series under Monty Lee. We'll get into what happened over the weekend in Athens coming up next. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on The Game.
All my sports. The Game Network. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 96.9 The Game in Charleston. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
We have a new way for you to call the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Just dial pound 250, and when prompted, punch in the keywords, The Game. And that's it. Again, pound 250 with the keywords, The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at herndonchevy.com.
Meet iPhone 17e. A whole lot for a lot less. With an almighty, all-powerful A19 chip. And Ceramic Shield 2, built to survive this and this. And a 48-megapixel fusion camera with 2 times optical quality zoom and next-gen portraits. And double the starting storage of iPhone 16e. And long-lasting battery life for hours of watching the studio.
That's the dream!
And it comes with Apple Intelligence. And you can charge it with USB-C or with MagSafe accessories. And a whole lot more, all for a lot less. Get the new iPhone 17e at T-Mobile today.
LinkedIn is pretty amazing at helping you grow your small business. We cannot stop your new clients from emailing you at 3 a.m. We can help you sell, market, and hire in one place. We cannot help you be in 3 places at once. And while we can't help you organize your calendar, LinkedIn can help you land more clients so you have a calendar to organize. Grow your small business on LinkedIn. Learn more at linkedin.com/smallbusiness.
You've seen them, the Goliath out-of-state law firms invading South Carolina, talking about how big they supposedly are. But if you've been in a bad wreck, all that big talk may not help you one bit. I'm attorney Michael Jeffcoat. I was born and raised right here in South Carolina. And as your neighbor, I'm committed to maximizing your recovery after a bad wreck. So after a serious injury, call Jeffcoat at 803-200-2000 because you deserve better.
Responsible attorney Michael Jeffcoat, 1333 Main Street, Columbia.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Come see the entire line of Whirlpool appliances at 1421 Atlas Road. Whirlpool offers bigger, better, and more efficient appliances, and Jeffers McGill offers the best in customer service and low prices. Jeffers McGill and Whirlpool, your home team.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Hendrick.
Why shop for a Chevy or GMC the way you always have when there's a better way? Shop the nation's #1 dealer group, Hendrick Chevrolet and Hendrick GMC. Thousands of car buyers across Columbia have switched to Hendrick for a larger selection, better pricing, and an easier buying experience. Plus, buy now but make no payments for 3 months. You don't have to shop the old way anymore. Experience the Hendrick difference.
With approved credit, see dealer for details.
The one and only Monster Jam. Big air, backflips, and all-out racing. See the world's best drivers tear up the dirt in your favorite Monster Jam trucks. The fun begins at the pit party, where you can meet the drivers, get autographs, take pictures, and see the trucks up close. Must have valid event ticket to enter pit party. Restrictions may apply. Rules and activities are subject to change. Visit website for event details. Coming to Colonial Life Arena April 18th and 19th.
Feeling lucky?
Bingo!
After that long, cold winter, your yard probably isn't. Faded pine straw and washed out mulch? Well, spring is here, and it's time to freshen things up. At Lucky's Pine Straw, we're your local team for full-service pine straw and mulch. Trusted by your neighbors and done right. Our spring schedule's filling up fast, so give us a call at 803-360-4850. That's Lucky's Pine Straw, Luckies, where your yard gets lucky.
Need a roof? Trust Crescent Construction. With over 20,000 roofs installed and counting, they've got the experience you need. They specialize in residential roofing, commercial roofing, and general contracting. Visit CrescentCarolina.com today for free estimates and free inspections. That's right, no cost, no commitment. Crescent Construction, quality you can count on. For all your roofing and construction needs, visit CrescentCarolina.com now.
The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head, along with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on the 107.5 The Game app.
But, all in all, offensively, we needed to swing the bats, and we certainly did that. We hit the ball really well today. We had some clutch hits, hit with 2 strikes a little bit better. And I thought Brandon kept us in the game. The biggest decision was when do we go to Alex, and tried to keep Brandon in there. He wanted the ball, tried to keep him in there as long as we could, but he ran into some trouble, and and then just at the end of the day, we needed to be better in the back half of the game on pretty much all sides of the ball. But I thought the guys competed hard today, and we just got to be able to put all 3 of them together at one time.
Welcome back in, Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West and Chris with you here on your Monday on the Game, that the voice of Monty Lee. Recapping the weekend that was for Gamecock baseball on the road in Athens, they do end up dropping all 3 games, and he mentions being able to put in all 3 facets of pitching, hitting, and fielding, and that was very much on display this weekend because when you had good pitching performances, the offense wasn't there. When you had good offense, the pitching wasn't there, and then on Sunday you end up having some of the fielding issues, namely with Jake Randolph there in the bottom of the 8th inning that ended up being very costly in a game that, again, you did enough offensively. So, once again, a situation where Carolina just can't put together the whole weekend and now find themselves 1-8 in conference play.
Yeah, and I think some of that stuff, guys, is just, honestly, like, it boils down to just playing better. Like, this is baseball, so it's not like a lot of other sports where if you were to play a team 3 times, you're going to be playing against the same guys. you're facing different pitching every night. Like, of course, most of the time, you're going to face a guy that can kind of shut down your offense a lot of times on Fridays, or you're just going to have to kind of find a way to manufacture something. Saturday, much the same in the SEC, and then typically Sunday is that day where the offenses sort of start to explode a little bit because the bullpens have been taxed a little bit. You're talking about a third starter, and just traditionally Sunday is when the runs are going to kind of not be so much at a premium as they are on like a Friday. Well, for South Carolina, unfortunately, this just appears to be a team that has been finding ways to lose games. So I don't really look at it necessarily as like, oh, they're inconsistent. Like, why can they hit on Sunday but they can't on Friday? Well, a lot of that is based on who you're facing on the other side. Unfortunately, the really good teams, the really good players, like they typically will find a way to win games more than not. The teams that are on the other side of that will find a way to lose games more often than not. And, unfortunately, they've kind of fallen into a little bit of that, just rut, I guess. And you hoped that a change at the top would give you a little bit of that momentum, a little boost. Maybe a boost in confidence would help you do some of those things. But to this point, it just has not happened. And, there's only so much a new staff, a new coach, an interim can do in a couple of weeks. Honestly, you did see some improvement, especially right off the bat against Arkansas, but just, unfortunately so far, kind of much of the same in terms of the actual results.
Yeah, much of the same. And I think that was the hope, is that you looked at the fact that the change was made early enough in the season where even though you dug yourself a hole with SEC, 1-5, I think, when the change was made in SEC play. You lost a series to Clemson. You had some poor non-con losses on the resume, but you could still see the path of, okay, you got the rest of the Arkansas series. You split that. You played better, even in the loss. Like, you played better. You won on Sunday, and then you're looking ahead saying the path is not any easier, but if you can play better, you do have a path to make it interesting, to make it a conversation. But you had the midweeker against North Carolina. You had the first series on the road against Georgia, and you came away 0 on those. So now you have an even bigger hole. The shame of this weekend against Georgia specifically is you had some good moments in there. You chased a couple of their starters early. You got some pretty good pitching performance. Like, look at what Ant Phillips did. Went over 100 pitches. He gave you a chance. Georgia hit some homers, but he gave you a chance. Just heard Monty there on the clip. Brandon gave you a chance. Early on, you look at, I think it was game 2, bases loaded walk, but you only got one out of that. So it was just the line between winning and losing in this league is so small, and they haven't been able to get over that hump. And we talked about so many different things with this team early on. We talked about pitching. We talked about defense. We talked about offense. It's all those when you're not winning. But this weekend, I feel like the biggest story was just you haven't been able to get these bats turned around. You haven't been able to string together enough hits, enough big hits in those situations. You haven't been able to, when you have an opportunity like the bases loaded situation I just talked about, you chased their starter, but you didn't break the game open early. You got up early just by 1. In 2 of those 3 games, weren't able to finish one out. And so it is a fine line. It's tough. Look around what else happened in the league this weekend. It's a tough league. It's hard to tell who's going to win or lose on any given weekend, but for the Gamecocks, still can't get over the hump and still haven't seen that next step taken specifically on the offensive side of the ball to where your pitching's giving you a chance, but you haven't been able to string enough together offensively.
Yeah, and I think we look at this team on paper. Jack and I were talking about this earlier. You can see the talent, and again, you can see what guys have done at previous places and see some of that flash, throughout what we've seen this season. It's just not being able to put it together to make this team good when it's actually playing on the field is obviously the difference there. And again, it doesn't get easier. You got number 2 Texas coming into town on a short week, starting on Thursday because the Easter holiday coming up this weekend. So there's no let up. You got to series against Missouri, but even that's on the road coming up here soon. So, again, now we're kind of in this race to see, okay, can you manage to get a better win total than you did a year ago? Because, again, the wins are certainly coming at a premium and not going to get any easier going forward.
Yeah, and, I mean, there is talent on this team, but I think you look, dude, number 7, Georgia, like you said, number 2, Texas, a top 5 art. Like, is South Carolina as talented top to bottom as those teams? I mean, I would probably argue no. You know, and you've gotten – you're at the point now where among your guys who are like actually in the lineup, you only have – I mean, Jake Randolph is kind of a recent addition to the lineup, so he doesn't even actually qualify as one of your regulars at this point, but he's the only real starter right now who's hitting over 300. You look at SEC play, you know, and I'm not picking on the kid because I think Will Craddock is one of your most talented guys and is going to be a heck of a ball player, but really at times was carrying the offense this year. But the adjustment to SEC pitching, he's hitting 108 in SEC play. Only one hitter is hitting above 300 in SEC play. Like, you just and Randolph as well is hitting. Randolph is actually hitting 400 in SEC play, but then you feel like you have to get him in the lineup. So you kind of, well, how can we get him out there? How can we get him on the field? And then you have to deal with some of the, defensive issues. And those are the type things that I think can snowball a little bit on you mentally because you don't want to let your teammates down. You don't want to make mistakes. And then you maybe start pressing a little bit. And then, guys, one of the things that stands out to me is that not that this team has a phenomenal record anyway, but away from home, so away games or neutral site games, this team is currently 1-10. So, just have not been able to score those victories when they are not at home. At home, they're 12-6. Obviously, some of that is based on who you played at home, but just unable to scratch across dubs when you're not playing here at Founders.
Next game tomorrow night, taking on Wofford, 6:15 pregame for a 6:30 first pitch. And then again, Texas rolling into town later on this week with that series starting on Thursday. That was what happened on the court and on the field for Gamecocks over the weekend. We also got some pretty interesting recruiting news on a guy that, well's never played football before. We'll discuss that coming up next. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on The Game.
Wow, what a play. The Game Network. Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
We have a new way for you to call the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Just dial pound 250, and when prompted, punch in the keywords, The Game. And that's it. Again, pound 250 with the keywords, The Game.
Meet iPhone 17e, a whole lot for a lot less, with an almighty all-powerful A19 chip, and Ceramic Shield 2, built to survive this, and this, and a 48-megapixel fusion camera with 2x optical quality zoom and next-gen portraits, and double the starting storage of iPhone 16e, and long-lasting battery life for hours of watching the studio.
That's the dream!
And it comes with Apple Intelligence, and you can charge it with USB-C, or with MagSafe accessories, and a whole lot more, all for a lot less. Get the new iPhone 17e at T-Mobile today.
LinkedIn is pretty amazing at helping you grow your small business. We cannot stop your new clients from emailing you at 3 a.m. We can help you sell, market, and hire in one place. We cannot help you be in 3 places at once. And while we can't help you organize your calendar, LinkedIn can help you land more clients so you have a calendar to organize. Grow your small business on LinkedIn. Learn more at linkedin.com/smallbusiness.
Hey, this is Terry Ford. Got a little story time for you. If you're a business or property owner and you're needing to deter any unwanted cars from parking in your parking lots, definitely call Schroeder's Towing. They'll provide signage for your business completely free of charge. Anytime a vehicle is parked in your lot that shouldn't be, Schroeder's Towing will be there to make sure your lot stays open for your employees, customers, and tenants. Trust me, I know firsthand what happens when you ignore Schroeder's Towing signage. Just go online at schroederstowing.net.
Just dial pound 250 and use the keyword tow truck. Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town.
When you're looking for Gamecock merchandise, always think Gamecock Traditions. Style, selection, quality, and the absolute best pricing. That's always the Gamecock Traditions way. Right now, score Champion crew neck sweats for just $44.99. Need a hoodie? Champion hooded sweats are only $54.99. That's $8 to $10 less than any other Gamecock store. And they keep them in stock. Sizes small through triple extra large, all the best colors. Gamecock Traditions in Lexington, Sand Hills Village, or online at GamecockTraditions.com. Great gear, better prices always.
Hi, my husband and I own a small business in Columbia, and we ended up needing some help with some tax problems that we had and needed to get resolved. We initially owed about $300,000, and John Ecton and his law firm ended up getting us an offer in compromise, which dramatically reduced the amount owed. I would personally recommend the Ecton law firm. They did an excellent job for us, and if this is a concern that you're facing, they're definitely the people you should call.
It's great to know we have changed people's lives for the better. Hi, this is local attorney John Ecton with the Ecton Law Firm. For over a decade, our office has been dedicated to helping hardworking individuals and businesses solve tax problems for good. So if you have years of unfiled tax returns or are facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call our office today at 771-9800 or go to EctonLawFirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com. Let's get your tax problem solved for good. Call today. You'll be glad you did.
Looking for a dealership that treats you like family? Come to Herndon Chevrolet, where we've been proudly serving Lexington and the Midlands for over 50 years. Whether you're shopping for a new or pre-owned vehicle or just need expert service, you'll find it all right here. Shop online anytime at HerndonChevy.com or stop by and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile, smile.
Are you stuck staring at your W-2? Are tax refund worries holding you back? You probably have FOMO, the fear of messing up. The fix? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. It's time to overcome your fear of messing up and get your taxes done right. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Powered by Integrated Media, the Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia, the Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass.
The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head, along with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on the 107.5 The Game app.
Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, West, and Chris along with you here on your Monday on the Game. By the way, you can always give us a call at 803-404-6100 or text us at the same line on the Firehouse Subs text line. We also have a new option for calling in. All you got to do is dial pound 250 and then say keywords "the game," and you'll quickly be connected. And give that a shot. Make it even easier to connect with us. Again, pound 250 keyword "the game" if you want to call in. You just say it. Pound 250 keyword "the game," and boom, you're connected on the AAA Heat and Air phone lines.
Wow, okay.
Technology is advancing so fast, guys.
Can you order a Firehouse Subs, but like if you're like turkey bacon ranch?
I don't know if we've gotten that far yet, but
need to get that connected.
I would be open to that technology, that's for sure. We'll talk to our guy Larry about that and see if we can get that part figured out. Either way, again, we have some news on the recruiting front for Gamecock football. As we talked last week, Neff Giwa, am I pronouncing the last name right? Have we determined that's how we say that? Is somebody that 2.5 weeks ago nobody knew about, right? A Nigerian-born Irish rugby player, 6'8", 300 pounds, that has taken the college football world by storm based off of a few videos from the past couple weeks showing him trying to play the offensive tackle position that got a bunch of colleges interested. He visited Miami, visited Georgia, visited the Michigan schools, Texas, all these major players going after him, Carolina in that mix as well. And over the weekend, we learned that he did indeed commit to South Carolina to be eligible to play right away for 2026. Now, again, he's never played the game of football before. It's going to take some development, so don't expect him to run on the field right away. But definitely interesting for this guy that kind of took the college football world by storm to end up here at South Carolina, and Randy Clements seemingly has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, we had posted there on our board late on Friday that this was looking to trend South Carolina's way, and I think probably one of the more interesting pickups we've seen South Carolina land since we've been covering this, just because there's such a wide range of possible outcomes here. Like, so Brandon Collier, who I guess owns PPI.
He's the founder, according to his Twitter.
Yeah, which is the company that basically excels in getting international prospects to the United States and basically finding programs for them out here. They were basically involved with Justin Okoronkwo as well, who first ended up at Alabama and, of course, transferred to South Carolina. So this is what they do. They go find people like Neff who are just and a lot of times they're playing football but not really against the competition like you're playing out here. Well, in this case, you're talking about a guy who quite literally has never played organized football in his entire life. And now I'll say this. If you look at the traits, this is definitely a traits pickup. The athletic traits, you're talking about 6'7.5", 295 pounds, 37-inch arms, a claimed 4.88 second 40-yard dash, and a 9.10 broad jump. So you may be saying, well, all right, what does that mean? What does that matter? Well, if you compare it to the NFL Combine this past year, the longest arms of any offensive line prospect, 34.5 inches. So, again, 37 inches for Giwa. The 4.88 40-yard dash would have been the fastest of any offensive lineman at this year's Combine, and the broad jump would have tied for the fastest, or furthest, I should say, in terms of the broad jump. So you're talking about a guy who has basically top NFL Combine traits. He's just never actually played football in his life other than some, I guess, camp-type workouts where they've already started to kind of get him used to dropping into pass pro and actually using his size. He did obviously play rugby, which I don't know how much rugby footage you guys have watched in your years, but you got to be a little bit crazy to play rugby. Like there's no pads. You're just out there butting heads with each other. Like you've got to have some toughness. So there's a lot of boxes checked. However, let's be completely fair, guys. At no point should anybody be projecting this dude just to come in and be the starting right tackle this season. Like this is a projection pickup. This is I would say low risk, high reward pickup. There's really no downside if you're South Carolina. Got an opportunity to bring in a guy with like all world athleticism. Why not do it?
Well, he's got all the traits that could potentially translate to being a really good offensive tackle. And, I really like one of the notes that Feldman put out. And I think, I didn't really realize this until I connected the dots, but Randy Clements has some international experience with developing guys. A former hockey player, Danny Watkins, he was a Canadian, coached him at Baylor, ended up being a first-round pick. There was a German lineman who was a second-round pick at Houston, Sebastian Vollmer. So I think that helped. Like, hey, I've coached international guys before. Here's what we did with them. And we were told that, pretty obvious, from the outcome, Giwa just really loved his visit at South Carolina. This is a guy that was starting to pick up a lot of traction, a lot of schools asking about him, went down, visited Miami after the trip to South Carolina, but they were able to win out. So I feel like, and to be fair, I haven't seen this, so hopefully it's not the case, but remember when Nick Carber signed and it was, this guy's got all-world athleticism. He's immediately going to be, he's going to have 12 touchdowns this year because he can run really fast. And he's certainly developed, but this is that, like, on steroids. You're going to have to allow some time for this guy to develop. Now, I think the exciting thing about that is, like, this is a complete blank slate. Like, you can bring this guy in, teach him exactly how you want things done. Randy Clements, Jason Smith, his top assistant, who played for him at Baylor, was the number 2 pick in the draft behind Matt Stafford. They're really technical, and I think they'll be able to teach this guy, how to play the position. It's still going to take some time. Offensive line, toughest position, in my opinion, to project, hardest to play probably in the entire sport, and it's developmental. You get guys who've been playing ball their entire life and are big-time offensive line recruits that also have measurables come in and struggle, at the beginning to integrate. But just in terms of the measurables, like this kid has those in spades. I mean, if he had 2 years of high school football experience, this is probably a 5-star, Even if you looked at him and
was good.
Yeah, but even, I was going to say, even if he was just, pretty good with those measurables, a lot of people out there are going to be, I can teach this kid.
Yeah.
I can fix him. And so I think that's the exciting thing is his measurables are so off the charts that if you can get him in, teach him, and he develops, and those are all questions, this could be a really, really big pickup, but it's not going to be right now once he gets on campus. This is probably not, if we hear in year one, hey, watch out for this guy, that would be something.
Yeah.
I just can't.
That would
it's
be
hard to see.
the bonus of all bonuses.
The bonus of all bonuses,
I think.
yeah.
You think O-line's harder to play than quarterback?
In terms of yeah, maybe. Left tackle?
Yeah.
It's an argument.
It is an argument.
It's a discussion.
I think those are the two most developmental positions too, is quarterback and offensive line. Just because there's, man, you get, not that everybody's going to be running a 4.88 at that size, but you get here and everybody is big and athletic.
Yeah.
You're not just out maneuvering people based on size alone. And now I will say this, man, I was reading some more of what The Athletic wrote about him and Feldman, and he definitely has the right mindset. He was talking about watching Trent Williams tape, like he started to dive into elite offensive lineman, has been trying to, it just goes to show you too with technology, he's literally just been watching YouTube clips of top linemen trying to mentally get reps and sort of learn but man, here's why it's so intriguing. There's so many boxes that are checked. There's so many question marks too. What if we don't even, does he like football? He's never played it. So what if he gets in here and is like, I hate this? What if he gets in here and loves it? You know what I'm saying? There's who knows? I think that's why it's captured people's attention.
Yeah.
The fact that he at least has played rugby, you kind of, but you're right. He does have the right mindset. I think just from what we've read, what we've heard. But some guys don't like football.
Do you like rugby?
I never played it. As you can see, I would get destroyed,
football.
I think. Love football. I just don't watch. We live in the...
That's what I'm saying, though. If you were like, hey, man, we're sending you over there to play rugby right now, I'd be like, what?
Well, you could tell me I'm sending you over there to play football right now, and I'd be mortified. In my size.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
skill set.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And, again, now that he's officially signed, Beamer can talk about him tomorrow, so I imagine there's going to be a lot of questions for his Tuesday presser about him and obviously where this goes. But again, don't expect to see him out there right away. If he does, that just means he's even more of a freak than we thought. I think we can consider him a shoe-in for the freaks list this year. Is that fair to say? Especially since Feldman's been on top of this the entire time.
Feldman's got to include him, I think.
We'll see where he ends up on that list, but that's almost seems like a given at this point. We'll come back, wrap up the hour, how we do on buy or sell. We'll check that next. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs here on The Game.
All my sports. The Game Network. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 96.9 The Game in Charleston. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And 100.5 The Game in Florence. Gamecock fans, get ready for something new this season. Charleston now has a new station for Carolina sports talk. Dial in to 96.9 The Game on HD3. Head to 96.9 FM and on an HD radio, punch into HD Channel 3. You'll unleash live Carolina coverage you can listen to all day long. New on HD3. It's 96.9 The Game HD3, South Carolina's newest sports station.
This is a Westwood One Sports Minute.
This Odyssey Sports Minute is sponsored by Empower. Invest well so you can live a little at empower.com. How about the University of Connecticut and the best coach in college basketball, Danny Hurley? 3 Final Fours in 4 years, going for a 3rd national championship in that 4-year span, and an unbelievable comeback against Duke yesterday, showing once again the heart of a champion. I'm Nick Custos.
DQ presents the Blizzard Double Flip Deal. For a limited time, when you buy 1 Blizzard treat, you get a second for just 99 cents. That's 2 Blizzards, 2 spoons, 2 flavors, and 2 flips. So don't miss out on the Blizzard Double Flip Deal, available only for a limited time and happening now at DQ. Because the only thing better than a Blizzard treat is a second Blizzard treat for just 99 cents. It's a deal to flip for. The Blizzard Double Flip Deal. Participation may vary.
Who says vaping is safer than cigarettes? Science does not support that belief. Vapes can contain a variety of chemicals, flavoring agents, cancer-causing elements, and other harmful substances. High levels of nicotine in some vapes can be more likely to lead to addiction, and chemical ingredients are not always listed accurately on vaping packages. Vaping can also damage your DNA, your heart, your lungs, and even your smile. Enough with the puff. Learn more at ul.org/vaping.
Sponsored by Underwriters Laboratories.
Ready to celebrate? Hop into Easter festivities with everything you need at Target. First, get ready for your special occasion with 25% off stylish looks. With spring vibes, vibrant colors, and fresh florals, you'll find outfits that match everyone's style. Then, fill up their baskets with endless joy. From select Easter plushies to fun toys they'll love at 20% off. Don't miss out. Make this Easter unforgettable at Target.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part, they accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
Ready to celebrate? Hop into Easter festivities with everything you need at Target. First, get ready for your special occasion with 25% off stylish looks. With spring vibes, vibrant colors, and fresh florals, you'll find outfits that match everyone's style. Then, fill up their baskets with endless joy. From select Easter plushies to fun toys they'll love at 20% off. Don't miss out. Make this Easter unforgettable at Target.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part, they accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head, along with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on the 107.5 The Game app.
Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, West, and Chris wrapping up the hour here on your Monday on the Game. Time to review buy or sell over the weekend. Wes, we didn't really do a good job. You won, but only by getting 2 right to my 1. So, tough weekend for us.
I'll still take the dub, though.
You'll take the dub, certainly. We both sold on Carolina covering the spread against Oklahoma. Really wrong on that one. Dumb.
Idiots.
Dumb.
We did say they were going to probably still blow them out by normal basketball terms, right? But they blew them out by Gamecock women's basketball terms, basically.
Yeah. Oh, correction. I actually misscored this. You got 3 right.
Okay. All right.
We did both sell on Carolina getting 4 big innings against Georgia in baseball.
How many were there?
None. So big innings are 3+ runs in an inning, and they had none on the weekend.
You know, Tyler, you normally set those lines pretty well. I'm going to just say I think you missed on that one.
Nobody bats 1,000, man. We also both got wrong that we thought Ronald Acuna Jr. would hit at least 1 home run this weekend. Still only 1 career opening weekend home run, believe it or not, in his career.
I do love how Braves Twitter was already ticked off that Ozzie was batting 3rd, and then he hits a home run in his first AB of the season.
You're telling me Braves Twitter's overreacting to something?
Braves Twitter and Gamecock Twitter,
a lot of crossover.
Are cousins.
Well, hey, both have had it a little difficult lately.
Yeah, but, I mean, Braves, come on now. Like, you did win the whole thing in 21.
I do miss our boy. Now, he's still giving some thoughts and stuff, but our boy Dave O'Brien.
Yeah.
I miss his comments back at the crazy Braves fans who would get on there and just, like, make things up, and he's like, actually, no, you made that up.
He was one of those guys. He's been in it here. He was in it for so long that he didn't care at all. He's going to say exactly what he felt.
Yes, I love it.
Cool moment, though, for Dominic Smith, the Grand Slam on Saturday.
Yes.
We learned after the game that his mom had passed away a couple weeks before, so really, really cool moment there. They did win the series against Kansas City, too. Yesterday didn't go great, but still took 2 out of 3.
Yeah, but dude, bunch of hard hit balls yesterday, though, that were just either right at people or got blown back into the yard. I think there were a couple where the stats the analytics were like, this 80% of the time this was a home run, and it just didn't happen yesterday. But, hey, dude, you'll take 2 out of 3.
Oh, sure. Hey.
Beats, losing 7 straight to start the year.
Beats what's happening
they did last year.
Beats what's happening with the Giants right now. They have 1 collective run through 3 games so far. Things not going great for Vitello to start things off in San Francisco.
Nor are things going great at the place he left.
No,
Tennessee for Josh Elander. Oof.
Things a little bit rocky on Rocky Top right now. That's for sure. Wes and I both bought that a 1 seed wouldn't make the Final Four. Duke, UConn yesterday, and what's going to be remembered as one of the best moments in Final Four history. The way that one ended.
Tyler, were you watching the Dom Smith Grand Slam live and the UConn 3-pointer live?
I was, yes, both of them. Yep.
Same.
I decided the one.
Both of them, I sat in my living room with my mouth open for about a minute afterwards, not believing what I saw.
I think I woke the baby up on the 3-pointer. I didn't even care who won. It was just such a...
And the way it happened was just insane.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I was audible, had an audible reaction. My wife's like, "What? What happened?" I'm like, "You got to come watch this." I rewound the whole thing.
You can't explain it; you just have to watch it. And Wes, you were correct as well for the 5th one. That with the UFL's new 60+ yard field goals being worth 4 points, there would not be more than 1 made. Matt McClain did kick 1 for the DC Defenders. That's the only 1 made on the weekend. So you did get that one correct.
So I didn't really do that bad.
No, you got, again, I've looked at the wrong thing for the second one. So you got 3 out of 5. I got 2 out of 5. Chris wasn't here to answer the questions.
He avoids them.
Kickers are getting good, man. It's crazy when you send a guy out for, in the pros, 58-yard field goal. You're like, this will probably go in.
Yeah.
It's just, they're getting good.
Yeah. And again, the UFL now makes it worth 4 points if you can go 60+ yards. I'm intrigued. And hey, for now, Matt McClain, the only one to do that. Or Matt McCrane, excuse me.
Did you watch any UFL this weekend?
I did not. I checked the box scores on that one.
Okay.
A lot of other things going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Busy weekend. But again, women's basketball in action tonight, taking on TCU for a chance to go back to the Final Four. Once again, we'll obviously react to all that coming up tomorrow as well. It's been the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on The Game.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown